Now
Yeah,
we're
we're
live.
live.
Hey,
Oh my
what's up,
gosh.
guys? It's me and Holy Batgirl, Mel, and we are doing our
Hey.
live Google Hangout, and we're super excited. And if you guys want to be a part of the conversation, go on Twitter and use the hashtag AskTheBatGirls, and we will answer your questions live while we do this. So, yeah, welcome to our first episode. We're like super
It's
pumped.
very exciting, isn't it?
It is. This has been a long time, like in the making.
Yeah, that's no joke. Like, I think we first started talking about this maybe, I even want to say like 2 months ago, perhaps. It was a while ago. And
Yeah.
then we scheduled our first chat maybe about 3 weeks ago, and then it fell through. And then finally, we've had a weekend, or some, well, it's not really weekend now. It's Tuesday for me and Monday for you. But we, it's so weird. But we
It
finally had a day and an agreed time, and we stuck with it. So we're here.
is.
It's very
Yeah,
exciting.
it is.
Yeah,
I know. It feels so weird because it feels like I've like known you forever, even though
I
like I
know.
just started my channel like not even that long ago. And I think you were
Yeah,
like one of the first people I subscribed to because I was like, she's like just like me. And then we just started talking. We're like, yeah, we're kind of the same human. Like this is
we
awesome.
really are. Yeah. And every time I watch your videos, I'm like nodding along. I'm like, oh, she can't see you, idiot.
No, I've done.
Yeah, yeah. I do that. I'm a bit like a Muppet sometimes, and just like, yeah, yeah, nodding
Yeah, I
along.
know, right? I am too.
But
Like I'll
we have
laugh
the
at
same.
something. Like, they can't hear me.
No, I know exactly what you mean. So I think there's definitely some shared commonality between the two of us, and we're both chicks into comics, and that's cool. And we like, well, I don't know. I think we like, for the most part, a lot of the same types of comics. But the cool thing is that you've introduced me to some awesome titles as well. So
Yeah,
that's
and vice versa.
extremely
I mean, if it
exciting.
wasn't for you, I wouldn't have read Scott Snyder's Batman, and that would have been a
Oh my
giant
God.
miss. I know. Now I'm just like
I,
obsessed.
yeah, it's good, isn't it? It's really good.
Well, and I love the fact that like it ties into Gale's Batgirl because like they're
Hmm.
friends, and then so like you can read the two, and they're very like mirrored images of each other, which is why I love Batgirl. What
Yes.
I did, we can talk about that. Finally, I'm
Oh
somebody to
my
talk
gosh.
about this with.
Do we have enough time to talk? Actually, no, we do have enough time. We're going to make time for that because issue 39 came out, and I have not read it, but I read about it, and I'm so mad about it, and I need to talk to you. So,
Yes, I know. We could just start there because I think that actually was like one of the first videos that I commented on of
mhm,
yours. I think
mhm.
it was right when the creative team kind of switched, and I was so mad about it. And then I watched your video, and I was like, okay, because I felt like I was alone in it, and I was like, I feel like, do I just not like it because of Gale? But no, because it really is like the integrity of the character that I think we
Yeah.
both genuinely care about. And then so I was like, yay, somebody else who I can like talk about this with, because a lot of people have still given it a chance, and some people are saying that it's gotten better, and then some people are like, I totally dropped it, and I'm on the I haven't even read it. Like I give you credit because you actually tried to read that first new issue, and I just couldn't.
I read the new issue, and I read maybe like the two after that. So wait, it picked up at 35, right? No, yeah, 35
I
was the
think
first.
something like that.
Yeah. So I read 35, 36, 37, 38, no, just no. And then 39 just came out, and no, I did not read that, ma'am. I read all about it. So there was a big post on, I want to say it was like Bleeding Cool or one of those websites, and it was like big spoilers for Batgirl, and I am tempted to read it just so that I'm that informed person who knows what they're talking about, because I don't
Yeah,
want to go into like this big rant without knowing what I'm talking about. But the
yeah.
last few, the gist that I've got from this article, right, and the reason I'm so friggin' mad about it is that it seems like the new team, and this is leading into the Secret Origins stuff, is making like the last panel has Oracle, we think it's Oracle, saying that Batgirl is not really Barbara Gordon. I know, right? I know.
Wait,
What?
what?
What? So they're saying, they're basically saying like Barbara Gordon is not Barbara Gordon, that there's some imposter and Oracle is back. I don't know. I don't know if this is like another dimension thing. I don't know if this is a multiverse thing. I don't know if this Oracle thing is real. Like, I don't really know what's going on. But you know what? Part of me, the hater in me, wants to kind of go, of course it's not Barbara Gordon. It hasn't been Barbara Gordon for issues. Therefore, I would buy that. I
Yeah,
would think that's
yeah.
plausible. So,
Like yeah, I don't know. Like, what is it? All of a sudden, like, because they maybe like the hate mail has got to them, and they're like, because I just feel like they should have cut it off. I mean, I've said this so many times, but I feel like they just should have cut it off. Like, let Gale's
mm-hmm.
run be Gale's run, and then started, because I guess when Gale took over, people were really mad because it was Stephanie Brown, and they really liked
Yes.
Stephanie Brown as Batgirl.
Yeah.
She's not my favorite. I also don't really like Cassandra Cain. Like, Barbara Gordon is like where it's at for me.
Yes.
So maybe they're gonna like be like, oh, just kidding. Like, we're gonna bring Stephanie Brown in all of a sudden because you guys are so mad at us.
Well, that's the thing is like I don't know where this is going. I don't know if they are going to bring in like I don't know.
Oh, weird.
I don't even want to say it makes me interested to read the new Batgirl anymore because I'm done with it. Like
Yeah.
I'm very done. But at the same time, um I'm curious. Like I'm genuinely wanting to know. What does this mean? So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
so I might just continue to read spoilers and just see how it goes because I can't like I'm at the point right now and this sounds really horrible but I'm at the point right now where I can't bring myself to pay the money for the comics.
right. Yeah. I totally get
Yeah.
it. Yeah. I'm the same way too. Like, I mean, with the exception of, and I've read Secret Six, like,
Mhm.
there's not. I don't think there's really any other DC that I'm picking up. I picked up the Multiversity one, um,
Mhm.
which I haven't even read it yet. And I don't know, but yeah, like for the most part, like, and then after, like, when the whole convergence thing happens, are you gonna pick that up?
I'm undecided at the moment. I mean the because they've got the 2 months of titles for Convergence, right? So they've
Yeah,
got they're doing the Secret Origin stuff at the minute, and then Convergence with Bizarro. Like, I'm
yeah,
probably leaning towards no. I'm
yeah,
probably I don't think I'm sold. And there's a lot of titles within that as well to pick up in addition. Like, I just don't know if I'm that invested in it. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I think the answer is yeah, maybe not.
yeah,
But definitely post-Convergence, I'm excited. I think there's going to be some amazing titles that come out. So in particular, I mean, I talked about this in a video I did just recently, but I'm like really hesitant about Black Canary
yeah,
because part of me really wants to love it,
yeah,
but then Brendan Fletcher's writing it. I'm like,
yeah.
so
Well, and like for me, I'm just like, why does she need to be in a rock band? Like, I don't understand this. Like she's Black Canary. Like, she kicks ass. Like, I don't understand
now she kicks
why.
ass and she can sing.
Yeah, and I don't know. It just feels like all their female characters right now are being like super like cupcakey-ish in a way. Like,
Yeah.
even like, what's her name? Starfire?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, that
Yep.
I will probably pick up at least the first issue just to check it out because I know nothing about her, and they've made her way less, I mean, as way less over sexualized as they can with
Yes.
a character like that.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm interested in it, and if it's not too cheesecakey, then I think I might like that. But I think that's probably like
Yeah.
my one big problem with DC right now is like, you have Scott Snyder who's writing Batman, and it's like super dark and super gritty, and then you have
Yes.
these female characters who are now like being turned into just like very like cheesecakey characters, and I'm like, I feel like the last obviously like the last decently writ female DC character was Batgirl and Wonder Woman, you
Yeah.
know, on Cliff Chang's run, and then they kind of Batgirlized Wonder Woman as well. And I'm like, I don't
Yes,
understand
they did.
like if they just want to bring like younger readers to their comics, which okay, but then they're gonna lose a lot of readers like us, like because we're not. I don't know about you, but I don't feel represented by the characters
Yeah,
that they're
absolutely.
putting out because I identify more right now with Batman, and they're
Yeah,
not female
absolutely. Yeah.
characters. Yeah,
Yeah. It's a really sad day when, like, for me, Batgirl was one of the characters that I really um her character really resonated with me, Barbara Gordon in general, in all of the adversity and all of the things that she had been through, and she was like that representation of a strong female who didn't give up and just kept going and just kept getting up. And even though she had been through a lot, she was still strong, even though she was vulnerable and damaged. And I loved that. Like, I loved that character so much. And then to see the new team just crap all over that and just go, and just fundamentally change that aspect of her and go, yeah, she's a fun-loving party girl now. Well, no, she's not. I'm sorry, but you got it wrong. And um, it really offended me. Like, it really upset my sensibilities and everything about that character because of how much she meant to me. And so if they did, like, and this is a point you made in your video, and I strongly agree with it, when you talked about the Batgirl. Like, I think that's the first video of yours I watched, is the same thing that you said about Batgirl, and you said you wouldn't mind as much if they'd have made this a series on its own as issue one.
yeah,
And I completely agree with that. I completely agree with that. I probably wouldn't hate it so much.
yeah.
But the fact that they've done it as a continuation of Gail Simone's Batgirl, a character who meant so much to me, and they've just damaged this character and cheapened her and made her cartoonish, and um, they've lost that emotional connection that the readers had with Batgirl. And I think that that's such a damn shame, because they're doing that. I guess Harley Quinn, in a way, like, I like Harley Quinn and I like her because it's a fun series and all of that, but I understand that some people think that she, has changed as well. And Starfire is probably going to be along the same lines because it's written by the same um, author and artist as Harley Quinn. Um, I'm personally excited about Starfire because I kind of think, yeah, it's less sexual. It'll be a fun series, I think. I don't think it's going to be a really emotionally bonding experience.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. It doesn't seem like
but
DC wants that from their female characters for some reason. I don't know. It's like they want more like lighthearted fun, and I'm like, okay, like I understand that, but you should do that with your male characters too. I mean, it needs because it feels so like disconnected in a way, like to go
yeah,
from. But I totally, I mean, everything you're saying about Batgirl is like exactly like we are like connected on this because it's
we have
exactly my
kindred
thoughts and
spirits.
feels too, and that's why like people got really kind of mad at me about my Batgirl video, and I'm like, this is a character that got me into comics. This is a character that I resonate with real strongly, and I do take it really personally when it's like that character.
Hmm.
And not only that, it's kind of like a double whammy because it's like my character and my favorite writer like all in the same like package.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it was like a double hit for me. But then I
Mm,
guess like the silver lining of that is that it brought me to Red Sonja because then I was like, okay, well now I don't have Batgirl anymore. I want to support a
yeah,
female-driven book, and then I was like just doing research on her stuff, and I was like, what is this Red Sonja? Like, I'll just check it out, and then I read that first volume, and I was like, okay, like I can totally get on board with this.
that
She's
was the book you got me into.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
The last
And
panel of the first volume where she's like, I'm gonna go get drunk in legendary fashion. I'm like, this is my new redheaded female character. Like I
yeah,
identify with that.
yeah, she was amazing. She is the epitome of a strong female character in today's comics. But she's strong, but she's kind of a no BS character, isn't she? She doesn't
Yeah.
really. Yeah, she's got a few vulnerabilities, but it's not the same way that Batgirl was really flawed. And I don't know, I really like her character. I really like Red Sonja a whole lot. I'm definitely going to continue reading that. I finished volume one only recently and was like, why didn't I read this sooner? Like, I was so mad at myself. I was so angry. I was like, I can't believe I didn't read this sooner. But yeah, such a great book. Really great book.
Yeah, and like the new arc right now is real interesting because not the Conan Red Sonja, but the new Red Sonja arc that they're doing is she she can't forgive and she can't forget, so like she's even more lethal. Like she does
Yeah.
not give a fuck. Like she's just gonna like rip you to shreds and like that's
Yeah.
gonna be it. And it's
Yeah, she's
so
ruthless.
interesting because with a character like that who already kind of, she has no boundaries, like she will do whatever it takes, then to
Hmm.
just totally be completely uninhibited and just free to kill, like that makes her super dangerous, and I think not only to other people but to herself. So it's a real cool run, and I'm glad that like Gail tweeted about it. She's like, it's a super like personal story for Red Sonja, and I'm like, I'm so excited to see where it goes.
I love it. I definitely need to make a little bit of an effort to catch up, I think, to the current issue because I know I was behind. I still am behind. But I just, her character is just, yeah, it's brutal. There's no mercy, but there is some softness to her as well at times.
Yeah,
And it's like when you least expect it, she says something, and you're like, oh, okay. She has a heart. She cares,
yeah,
but she's so passionate about what she's doing and why she's doing it that she sees well, no pun intended, she sees red, and she just slays people, and I'm like, wow, I didn't think she was gonna do it, but she did
yeah,
it.
yeah. And the
Yeah.
art and like coloring in that book is like
Oh man.
it's on point every week, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh, it's so good. Walter
It's
Giovanni
a
is like,
consistent book, isn't it? It's consistent, like it's consistently like well drawn, well illustrated, well written, like you know, I love consistent titles. Like there are so many books out there that are not, and
yeah,
week to like or month to month, you don't know what you're gonna get.
yeah. Yeah,
But
that's
she's
very
good.
true. And I think, yeah, and a lot of times those books like totally turn me off and I end up not picking them up. I very much like consistency in my comic,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
why
definitely.
I'm trying to think if there's any books where I read where it's like, I think it was Wolverines. I tried to read the first one, I didn't like it anyway, but apparently that's a book that like they'll have a writing team and an artist team on one issue, and then it's different on the next issue, and then it just kind of like keeps going back and forth, and I think a lot of people
Can't
don't
do with
like
that.
that book. Yeah, because it's like too like it's very like discombobulated and very I don't know, I just don't like that.
I'm noticing that even with Wonder Woman because I've been trying to make an effort with it, like I have feelings about the new team and the way that they represent Wonder Woman. I did a video on it, like about how she looks like a lollipop and all the rest of it, and um, she's got like the big head and the small body,
Yeah.
and I I have some feelings about that, but I've been continuing on. I read like issue 38 and 39, but where I'm struggling at the minute is sometimes characters appear that have got some continuity between like Azarello and Chang's run,
Mhm.
and they're now making an appearance in this. It's the same run, obviously, but with the new illustrator, and I can't figure out who they are, like because there's no introductions by names. I'm like, I don't know who this character is meant to be. Like, there's a couple of moments like that, and I'm like, okay, because the drawing is so different. Like Chang's
Yeah.
art was, I guess, like a little bit polarizing for some people. Like some people really didn't like the art in Wonder Woman during that first, issue 30, issue 1 to 36 or whatever it was,
Mhm.
and yeah, I don't know. Like the new art, I think is easier on the eye, apart from the way that Wonder Woman's drawn. But yeah, some of the characters, I'm just like, I don't even know who you are. So that's the issue. That's the problem when you have different illustrators drawing the same characters. I don't think I could deal with that
Yeah.
switching around from issue to issue. I couldn't do it.
That would be like if they brought in Ragdoll. to
Mhm.
Batgirl now, and
Mhm.
they drew Ragdoll like how they're drawing, like that would not work. That would be the weirdest thing ever. I am glad that Gail brought Ragdoll into her Batgirl run though, because I love Ragdoll from
Mhm.
Secret Six.
Yeah. See, Secret Six is something that I'm only just like finding out about now because,
Yeah.
I suck. So
No, it's all good. You're finding out
I,
about it now. It's fine.
I'm finally getting on board. I read the first issue of the new run and I really liked it.
Yeah.
And I just bought the second issue, but I haven't had a chance to read it yet.
Yeah,
So
it's real good. I read it. I read it this week, and I loved it. And I know some people were really mad about the art, or like they weren't mad, but they were like really confused about it. But I think it goes with the story because it's like it's kind of sketchy-ish,
Mhm.
but like the way that ventriloquist is drawn is like on point, I feel. And I feel like it goes kind of with like, because like you look at this and you're like, this looks like a fun run, and it's actually super dark. And I think the
Yes.
art like totally reflects that. And I don't know. I don't have a problem with the art. Then again, people will probably yell at me because if anybody is watching this and they watched my or on Twitter or something, I didn't like Kingdom Come. I read it and like I
Mhm.
didn't like what's his name? Alex Ross, I think. I didn't like that art at
Yes.
all. So people might be judging my taste in art a little bit.
But you
But
like what you like.
exactly, and I don't know. And also, I'm not a Superman fan, and so trying to
Me
read Kingdom
neither.
Come after I was telling you when we were off air, but I had just, did a big Walking Dead binge, and then trying to read a Superman story after reading a bunch of Walking Dead and being in like that world was, I think, probably
Mhm.
not the best thing, but it was for school, so I had to. So I
Yeah.
think you also have to be like in the right mindset when you read some superhero stuff because
That's
it's going like
yeah.
from kind not realistic but more like grounded, like a grounded zombie story, and then going to all of a sudden like this weird AU like Superman and Batman are old now, and I'm like, what is happening and why are Wonder Woman and Batman not together? This is not okay because I love
Yeah.
them together. I don't like her and Superman.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think I haven't read Kingdom Come, but I agree with you on art either making or breaking a story, really. Like I get a lot of criticism for not loving Frank Miller's art. I know that he's like a little bit all over the place for people anyway, but I couldn't and people I can already hear them yelling at me. I couldn't read past like the first 30 or 40 pages of The Dark Knight Rises, which is like
Yeah.
the biggest Batman story.
I've never read
And
it either.
oh well, look, no judgment from me then, because I couldn't. Like I, I tried to read it. I did get about 40 pages in, and it was the art. It was too distracting. It was the way the panels were drawn. It was like a whole bunch of things. If I
Yeah.
had a manuscript for that comic, I would happily read it, but I can't do it in its current format. And so, being a big Batman fan, everyone's like, I can't believe you haven't read it. I'm like, well, it's not for my lack of trying. I
Yeah.
can't get past the art. It's
Yeah.
horrible.
And in a
So,
comic book, I mean, like, if the art is too distracting, then you're not going to pay attention to the story. So it, like,
yeah.
they have to, like, coincide with each other in a way that totally works. Like, the only Frank Miller thing I've ever read was Sin City, and I loved Sin City. So it would be interesting to see if you liked Sin City and you liked his art there, where it's not
Yeah.
a character that because I don't like his Batman at all. He's very strangely proportioned, and he's more like the Hulk. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that is not Batman. I don't understand. Like, Batman doesn't need to be drawn in such like a terrifying way. Like, he's already a really dark character. Like, I love
Yeah. Yeah.
Greg's work on Scott's run. I think
Yeah.
that is Batman that I love. Like, that's a really good representation of the character. More
Yeah. Same
so with
here.
Frank Miller. And then when you see, like, it's almost as if, and after reading Sin City, It's almost as if when I see his Batman, it's like Marv in the bat suit, and I just laugh because I'm like, okay, there's Marv, and he is apparently cosplaying as Batman. All right, like that's a thing.
Yes, yes. No, I completely understand that. And I think that's probably part of the reason why I just couldn't do it. I was just like, I tried to push through. I'm like, you know what, just suspend your disbelief, just keep going. And I couldn't. I found I was really starting to resent the fact that I was reading it. Like, I
Yeah,
was like getting really upset with the fact that I'm like, I can't believe I have to push through this. And that was making me mad. So I'm like, I can't. So I just,
yeah. That's the
yeah.
worst. Like when you're reading a comic and you're just like, I hate this so much. Like, why am I reading it? That's been a few things that I've read. Nothing off the top of my head. Well, Kingdom Come was one of those. Um,
Yeah. Mine was also All-Star Batman and Robin, funnily enough, also by Frank Miller. And and illustrated by Jim Lee, whose illustrations are phenomenal. Like
yeah,
they were great illustrations, but I was so angry at the way that he wrote the characters. And normally I'm pretty cruisy, you know, like normally I am oblivious and I just read things and people will get all up in arms. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that I was meant to be upset about that, but okay, now I am. But but when I was reading that one, I was getting really riled up. I was just like, there was so many things, and that's where the famous like I am the goddamn Batman came from. Like that's where he said that 14 times in the space of 8 issues. I counted. And and he just tells Robin to shut up like so many times, and he's like just a horrible human being, like a horrible like narcissistic psychopath who like I'm just like I know Batman's troubled and has issues and all of this kind of thing, but I refuse to believe that a man who's trying to fundamentally do something to save the wider community or make the wider society better, I refuse to believe that that's my Batman. And so I had issues with that. I had issues with how they made Wonder Woman this like man-hating, like they just made her like the ultimate feminist, which Wonder Woman to a certain extent is, but
yeah,
not to that extent, you know, not to the extent that they wrote her. And Black Canary, they wrote with these massive, like, G-sized boobs, and she was working in a bar and had all these men saying horrible, like, lewd things to her. And I was just like, I just hated everything about it. You know, I was just
yeah.
like, this book is so wrong. So I don't know. I did a rant on it. I think at one stage on my it was early days on my channel, but I was like, I found something that I hate enough to do a YouTube video on.
Yeah,
So yeah, you know it's real. You know it's real when there's a video.
yeah. I have to talk about this because it sucked so bad.
I know, and I hate being that nerd, you know, like I hate being
Yeah,
that person that's like, that feels like all I do is complain in my videos. So I try to sometimes just hold off, but
yeah,
just sometimes you just need to go, you know what, this is a thing and I need to share my feels on the thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's like I think the only two things that get me that riled up are Batgirl and then
Yeah.
DC's cinematic universe. Just solely, I think I wouldn't have so much of a problem with it if it wasn't for Goyer and like his like. And I know Travis Oddfellow's thoughts on the round table. I commented because they were talking about the new Aquaman. And I was like,
Yes.
I would see it if it's not Goyer. And he's like, I think you just need to let that go. And I'm like, but as a fan, like I feel really offended by his comments, and that makes me
Hmm.
not want to go support his work. Like I'm sorry, but that's just
Sure.
who I am, and I'm not like, I mean, I was forced to watch The Dark Knight Rises, and I was like I feel like he does this thing with his characters, and
Mm.
Aquaman kind of in the same way where it's like, and Travis made a good point. He is like, if I saw the picture of, I forget his name, Game of Thrones dude as Aquaman, but
Hmm.
it had no context, he was like, I don't think I would know what character that was supposed to be. And I think that's a very good point because I feel the same way about Bane in his movies. Like, if I didn't
Yes.
know that that was going to be Bane, I would be like, oh, there's a bald dude with a breathing problem? I'm not exactly sure what this is. So I feel like they take a lot of liberties with these characters that like
Yeah.
I have personally grown up with and love and I'm into comics because of, and I feel like it's a lot of arrogance and not so much creativity. And it's like they just want to they want to do something completely different and make it very realistic, which on the plus side, it brings a lot of new people to comics. That's cool.
Mhm.
But then I feel like if people go see the Aquaman movie and then they want to read the comics, then they're gonna find the Aquaman that we know and make fun of him and be like, this is not the Aquaman that I saw in the movie. So
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of like give and take with it, and for the most part, I just feel like it kind of hurts us as comic book fans when we're like, but Aquaman is really cool because of this, this, and this, and then you have people who haven't read the comics and they're like, no, it's not because it's not, Goyer's version of Aquaman, and it's
Oh
like,
no,
it's not
I know.
Aquaman, like that's
I know, and I feel like you're going to be so upset because I don't see it being any other way. Like, I don't,
no.
I think that's how it's exactly going to be. Like, and I actually, like, since we're talking about the new Aquaman, I think it's probably worth just saying, like, I think he looks fucking badass. Like,
Yeah.
he
No,
looks
he does. Like,
so cool. He looks so cool.
yeah,
And like seeing all of the fanboys get their knickers in a twist about the fact that he's not blonde and he's not green and orange. That makes me laugh. Like, I thought that was hilarious
yeah,
because but I don't know. I think it's going to be great.
yeah,
I love the tattoos.
yeah.
I
No,
love the
I
tattoos.
yeah. Like I've wanted Aquaman to be awesome for a while because have you played Injustice, the video game?
uh, Sorry, hang on. I'm clicking things and I shouldn't be clicking things.
Is it-
um, um, Sorry, I'll start clicking things in a second. I was trying to find the button that has the chat thing, but I don't need the chat
oh.
thing. Um, don't mind me. Yes, I have played Injustice, the video game, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's a
Yeah,
good game. And
yeah.
Aquaman in that looks,
He's awesome, and like he literally like you feed your opponent to a shark, and that's kind of what made me fall in love with Aquaman.
yeah.
So I'm definitely not opposed to seeing this. Will probably be the one DC movie that I will actually give a shot, even if
Mhm.
Goyer does write it. I will give him this because if they can make Aquaman awesome and relevant, then I feel like they have done a good job.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, he can't be, unfortunately, I don't think it, I mean, you can't have, the darkness of Batman, how they're doing Batman, and the darkness of Superman, and the darkness of Wonder Woman, and then all of a sudden have a neon green Aquaman. Like, it doesn't fit in.
Try.
They could try, but it doesn't fit in with this very dark, very sort of realistic universe that Zack Snyder and Christopher Nolan want to create, which I
Yeah.
understand to an extent. But I mean, as much as I kind of diss DC in their live action stuff, I will stand by and say their animated stuff is some of the best out there that
Mm.
I've ever seen, and Marvel's is not. It's like Marvel
Yeah.
definitely wins in the live action department, but as far as their animation goes, it doesn't. Whereas DC, I feel, thrives very much in their animated form. Like Under the Red Hood is such an amazing movie, and so many.
Oh my god, I know. Yeah, that's my favorite.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get a lot of people like hate on me for hating on DC's live action stuff, but then when I make the point, like their live or their animated stuff is phenomenal, then they're like, "Oh, okay." Like because yeah, I grew up with the animated series. And I also think that, DC like Michael Keaton as Batman and then Christopher Reeves as Superman, like that is where super movies truly did start. And those are, I mean, obviously, I have not seen, I fail, but I don't like Superman, so I haven't seen the Christopher Reeves ones except for like in bits and pieces. But, I mean, Michael Keaton's Batman is my favorite superhero movie of all time. So I do have to
Yeah.
credit DC with that. And then for me, once they got rid of Tim Burton, it just kind of started dying a little bit.
Yeah, your feelings like on the Nolan franchise, and I get it. Like when you're talking about the director and the stuff that he was saying, and like I had no idea about any of that stuff. Like I
Yeah.
really was clueless to all of that. Yeah, I definitely can understand why you feel the way you feel. I was kind of taken back, and I'm like, they should never have a director of these movies who genuinely isn't like a fan of it themselves because they don't get it. And there's so much there's so much at stake with comic book movies. There are so many people that are like waiting on this to be amazing, and you also have to balance it with the mainstream audience to make it a hit. But yeah, if you don't get it, then don't. Why are you there?
Yeah.
Apart from the money, why are you there?
Well, and so I did like some research on Goyer because I was like, I don't want to
Hmm.
just like completely like hate on this dude and not and not know things in
Not
context. I looked
justify
at all the
it.
articles and stuff, and like so
Yeah.
he's the writer of all the I think all of the everything that DC has done thus far, including Constantine. But
Mm.
also he wrote some comics. I think some like JLA comics for DC, and I'm like, why then? Are you like I understand if you are just a DC fan, I can
Hmm.
understand you not understanding She-Hulk and making those horribly ignorant comments about her. Like that's fine. But then why are you totally like saying that Martian Manhunter, who is kind of essential to the Justice League, is silly and stupid, but you've written comics. Like I'm like I don't this makes no sense to me.
He
And
doesn't understand.
he just doesn't yeah it's like he just wants to do it. I feel like he's like a hipster kid and he's just doing it because it's cool right now. Like and I'm just
Yeah.
I don't understand because then
It,
on Marvel's side you have like obviously you have Joss Whedon and then you have James Gunn who like were fans of comics growing up and totally understand them. And
mhm.
I just don't understand. And I've heard that Ben Affleck is a Batman fan, but I don't know.
Yes.
I think he's better suited in movies like Argo. I loved Argo. I thought Argo was amazing. But
Hmm.
it doesn't mean that I want him as Batman just because he was in a really good
Oh
movie.
man.
So
Everyone remembers where they were when Ben Affleck was announced as Batman, right? Like I
yeah.
remember where I was. I was
Yeah.
like I remember like it was the worst day as well because I had hurt my back and I was like off work and I was just like in so much pain and I had to wait for my osteo appointment to get my back fixed and so I was just hating life and it was like hurting to breathe and it was like just so miserable and then I just happened to check my Twitter feed and my Twitter feed had exploded with Batfleck and I was like no like I was just like so I was like, my day just went from like bad to worse. Like,
Yeah.
who is shitting on me today? And I was devastated. And then I don't know, like I've seen the pictures that have just come out. And I'm like, I don't know. I think he'll be a good Batman, but maybe I hesitate to think he'd be a great Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
But
And that
it's
is the
yeah,
challenge I think with everybody is being a good
yeah,
Bruce Wayne because it's definitely more than just I mean you can put on the Batman suit anybody I think can put on the bat suit and look awesome but it's really having like the whole Bruce Wayne persona down. And I
yeah.
mean as much as I love Michael Keaton I think he's been the best Batman but I don't think anybody has gotten Bruce Wayne down.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And there's so many depictions of Bruce Wayne over the years as well. Like it's hard
Yeah,
to.
very much
Mm,
so. And I think like it's funny because from the pictures of Ben Affleck as Batman, I think they're wanting to go more with the Frank Miller Batman. So it'll
mm.
be interesting to see what you think, like when you, because I'm not gonna like, and I'm like sticking to that unless somebody literally is like, I'm paying for your ticket and like putting you like in on a Segway and segwaying you into the theater, like you're. I'm not gonna. I'm
They
just.
can wheel you in Hannibal Lecter style,
Yeah.
just like bit
I
mask.
yeah, like I went into Man of Steel with my dad, and I remember like I wasn't super excited, but I'm like
Mm.
okay, like this could totally make me a Superman fan. So I went in, and really the only reason why I wanted to see it was because Christopher Maloney was in it and
Yes.
Detective Stabler
Oh my
on SVU, and I
god.
love him.
Detective Stabler. We've talked about Detective Stabler, have we
We might
not?
need to have a little bit of an SVU chat here as well. Um, so like I like loved it. Um
Yes.
and then so I was watching it and I'm like, oh, like he's Colonel Hardy, this is awesome. And then when he flew the plane into the building, like about 5 minutes later, I'm like, I wish I'd been on that plane because I'm about done with this film. It was just so long and so drawn out, and it's like if it had, I don't know, I just didn't care. Like, and then the ending of it when that girl was like, he's hot. I'm like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And the really sad thing is that I really did like the casting. I thought that the cast in that was really awesome. Like, I love Kevin Costner. So it was a movie that like I really wanted to like, and I was like, I want to, after I see this, wants to go out and read everything about Superman. So I did definitely give it a chance, and it failed me, and it ended up making me man even more. And I'm like, and they killed Stabler. Like, no.
I know, it's actually the worst thing that you could do. I took my nephew to see it, and I remember like because we were going to go to see a rugby game live because Australian and all that kind of thing. It's what we do,
Yeah.
and we we were stuck in traffic and we missed the game. Like it was devastating because it was his first game and he was so sad. I'm like, like we'll go see Superman at the movies because he loves his comic movies and it's the thing we bond over. So we went, and by the time we got to the movies, it was like 8:30 at night, and at the time he was like 10 years old, and I'm like, cool auntie, taking him to an 8:30 session, and I'm like, it won't go for that long. And he went for 2.5 hours. Like, I felt like the worst person in the world because by the time this movie was finished, he was like struggling to stay awake, and he was trying to do it just because he like loves Superman. And I'm like, shit, kid, like get into the car now, go to sleep. And we had to drive like an hour and a half home, so I'm like, you're going to sleep. So it just like I remember him saying it like halfway through the movie. He said something about I'm tired, and I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be finished in a minute. Like it was kind of winding up, you know how it kind of you get the feeling like it's gonna finish, and it's gonna finish, and it's gonna finish, and it never fucking finishes. I'm like, this movie, there was like 5 false endings. Like I'm like, oh yeah, this is the end. I'm like, what? I was just starting to get like sick of it in the end. I'm like, how is this not the end? How is anyone alive in Metropolis? You've just killed the whole city. Like, God, like you've just ruined it. You've just ruined what could have been a good movie. Good job.
Yeah. I know. It had a lot of potential, and then just was not even a little
just
bit.
Kept going.
Yeah, I know. I was like, is it done yet? And my dad was like, you're like, what's wrong? And we walked out, and I was like, that was horrible. My dad was like, I liked it. And I'm like,
yeah. This is the movie that never ends. I was just, it's just, it was just.
That's kind of all those movies, though. They're all super long. The only thing I will say, there are 2 things I do like about Christopher Nolan's movies. One is I love Gary Oldman as Jim Gordon. I think he's really, really well cast as that character, and that's a character I care more about Jim Gordon in those films than I do about Batman. So
yeah, I would agree with that.
Was the intention of that, then well done. Like, I love Gary Oldman; he's awesome. But I also actually really like Joseph Gordon-Levitt as
yes.
So I feel like
I like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Full stop.
I do too. I think he's awesome, and I feel like if they did a movie with him as Nightwing, I would be, and I would actually see that. Because I'm not a giant Nightwing fan. I still haven't read that graphic novel that you sent me. It's on my list of things to read.
That's okay. Yeah.
I will get to it. But I think after kind of being teased that he could eventually be Nightwing, I would like to see that. And I think I would actually, I've never been a Robin fan, ever, in my entire life. I'm like, I remember one time I got super drunk. This was when I was living in San Francisco. And my roommates, like, carried me back to the apartment, and I just remember sitting on the floor eating Cheez-Its, like, complaining about why does Batman need Robin? Like, Batman is a sidekick. And I just remember like hitting like my hand on the floor and just being like, Robin is stupid. And they were like, okay, Daisy, like, we get it. Like,
That's amazing.
you're drunk, but apparently even in a drunken state, I feel very strongly about this.
That's so funny. Um, yeah. I think we should talk about some of the comics that we read this week. And I'll also remind people, because we've got a few people watching now, that they can use the hashtag at any point during the show, hashtag Ask the Batgirls on Twitter, and ask questions, because this show is completely interactive and as fun as you want to make it, or not as fun as you want to make it. It's really up to you.
And they can also tag our Twitter. If you're not following our Twitter, it's just at the Batgirls show.
Mm-hmm.
So you can follow us there. Mel's is at Holy Batgirl, her personal Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
and mine is just my name at Stacy Scholes. So you can follow us there and hashtag us, and we will check our phones. And once we get questions coming in, we can do like a Q&A session. So yeah.
I know, because I've been really bad at checking my phone. Hey, I've been like really intrigued and into this discussion and have been failing at the social media part of it. And I just had this realization where I'm like, we've been talking for 45 minutes and I've not checked my phone. So I have it now, and I'm seeing some tweets, which is really nice. And
Aw.
my friends told me to stop saying stop saying full stopping, because that's his line, which is true. I stole that. Um, yeah. So one thing we probably should talk about that I'm really excited about, and I need to talk to someone about, is
Yes.
Outcast Volume 1. Oh my God. I was so excited. Stacey was telling me off air that she read it this week, and I just about had a heart attack, right? Because I was just like, you read it too? And like I told her to save her thoughts, because we could have quite easily just did the show before the show. Like,
Yeah.
I had to
Very
stop myself. I had to
true.
stop myself. I guess like the premise is probably what we should start with, because I know when I read this, I didn't know much about this.
Yeah,
Um,
me too.
do you want to talk about what it's about? You tend to do those better than I do.
Yes, I will try. Well, okay. Well, I will say this: when I first read this, I was really confused because I thought it was a flashback.
Mhm.
And then when we meet Kyle Barnes is the main character in this, and then you essentially find out that he has been plagued with a demonic presence basically his entire life, and that his mom had it in her, and then this little boy who we meet in the beginning has basically the exact same symptoms. And then we meet this preacher who then calls upon Kyle to come in and help, and his blood draws the demon out. And then
Mhm.
it gets real interesting because you're like, oh, like he's the cure to this thing. And I love in here when he was like, does this stuff happen a lot? And the preacher guy is like, no, like I just want to talk to you. Like,
Yeah, yeah. It's dark. Like, it is a
sort
dark
of.
read, and
Yeah,
so this is written by Robert Kirkman, the same guy who writes The Walking Dead, and Stacey will talk about The Walking Dead in a bit.
I will.
And I'll give you the floor. And the thing about this book, like when in the first couple of pages, you see, like, this is the thing, like, is the characters kind of jump around a little bit at the start, and I was like, oh, we're on to this character
Yeah.
now. But it all converges and comes to a point where, like, right, I understand how the characters are interacting with each other. So you just got to hang in there a little bit.
Yeah.
But in the first couple of pages, actually, hang on, I've got to open. Like, you see this panel where the kid's like, I'm hungry, but he's eating his finger. Whoops. I don't know which way I'm going. There we go. Thank you.
Yes.
And I was like, And I knew nothing about this read before I picked it up, so I'm like, great, another zombie book. And which is horrible because I love zombie books. Just for the record, I actually do love a good zombie read, but I was just kind of like, Robert Kirkman, come on. Like, you've already got your zombie title, don't be greedy.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so I kept with it. And then the moment I found out that it was demons and possession and like exorcisms and all of
Yeah.
that kind of thing, and it's a real horror read, I was like,
Yeah.
holy shit, this is good.
Yeah. Me too. I'm learning. So I don't like horror movies. Like I hate them, but I'm learning that
Yeah.
I love horror comics. Like this is a thing.
Hmm.
So when I open the panel and like he's eating the things, this is how my mind works. When I got the panel that we're talking about, I was
Hmm.
like, oh, like he just ate Cheetos. I was
He's got
weird.
Cheeto
I was like,
fingers.
oh, that's Cheeto residue. Not even realizing, no, he's eating the hand.
Oh man, I'm not going
So
to
I
be able to
had
do
to
that
read
panel
this
the
like
same way now.
3 times. I was like, why is she freaking out? He just has Cheetos on him. And then I saw his and I was like, oh, because
Oh,
essentially.
the moment I saw it, I'm like, damn, like he was really hungry. He
Yeah.
nearly took it down to the bone. So, it's a really dark, like there's some really dark stuff in this. Like I remember a few moments throughout this book, and of course, like I should start flagging these books as I read them. But there was moments in this book where I was just like, like a little bit shocked, I
Yeah.
guess. Like, and it takes a lot to shock me. I am not sheltered. So when I
Yeah.
was reading some of this stuff, I'm like, whoa, like they went there.
Yeah.
And there was also, I guess, a little bit of some really like nice moments of truth where like some of the characters, I think the Reverend was at one point just like basically saying, do what you want to do, like God's not going to judge you for what you do. He was talking about masturbation. He's like, if you want to
Yeah.
masturbate, you can go do it. God's not going to judge you, but just be good to people. Like, just be good to each other. Like, stop worrying about the little stuff and, be good to each other. And I'm like, that's like, that's some truth. Like,
Yeah. Me too. I
yeah.
love that panel. I want to find it now because
I
yeah.
took a photo of that and I tweeted it because I was like, preach. Like, I was like, this is really a really good. They were all like, and the Reverend getting drunk. I like the thing that I don't know. I guess I enjoyed it or had a good laugh at anyway. Is the Reverend is like gambling and making like income to like fund the church
Yeah.
through gambling habits. So I'm like, this is so cool. Like,
I love it so much. I do. I love any time that like you see like a preacher or something just be a real human. I love that
yeah,
because I think that that's
yeah,
always something that I identify with. Like I would much rather see a preacher, be like, yeah, like God's not gonna care if you curse. I say this all the time anyway, like in my life. Like I'm just like,
yes.
I don't care like if you curse, like that's not a thing. If you murder somebody, probably then you're gonna have a problem. So yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
love the fact when the guy was like they were talking about like masturbation or something, the guy was like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
okay, like
Actually, you know what? I'm going to check my Twitter because I actually did tweet this photo. I took a photo of it. I do that sometimes when I read something in a book and I'm like, yes, I'm
yeah,
feeling this. I will post the shit out of it. All right, so
I'm the same way.
here it is. I proof that I tweeted it. This is yesterday. So he says, people people think God sweats the details. People think he's got time to watch each and everything that we do. Like we really care. Like he really cares whether we say and whether or not we're going to. Oh, hang on, I messed that up. Like he really cares what we say and whether or not we're really following his rules. It's such bullshit. He's not marking down every impure thought or every bad word. He doesn't care if you look at your neighbor's wife or drink on a Sunday or masturbate. He's a little busy waging war on a cosmic level with the devil and the forces of evil. He just wants us to be good and to be good to each other, really. So masturbate all you want. And
And
I was
it's
like,
like, wow, that's a relief.
yeah, yeah, the whole page was good. The whole page was really good. And I remember reading that and just going, that's awesome. Like it's refreshing to see real characters with real I don't even want to call that a flaw because that's
Yeah,
just but
yeah,
they're real characters not conforming to stereotypes. Like he's a
yeah,
preacher, but he's at the same time he's not. a preacher man, you know what I mean? Like, it was just nice to see that.
Yeah.
So,
I think Kirkman does that really well. Like even in The Walking Dead, I feel like he just really makes characters relatable and characters that like
mm,
you actually care about. And like
mm.
and but then he's also really good at making characters that you hate. Like dude, the mysterious dude in the hat, like that poor neighbor, I was like this is the saddest thing ever. And I was like when he walks up to the house, I'm like,
You
"Oh."
knew what was going to happen. That broke my
And
heart. I was
but they
just
always,
like,
yeah.
we
And
don't
they
know
give
who
you the
that character is though yet.
I know, but you just know, and I'm interested in because there's so many things that are left unanswered here, um,
Yes.
like the old woman, like she's obviously possessed, and she's creepy as fuck. Like
Marlene, was that her name? Am I making that up?
I think
That could
that
be
is no Mildred.
Mildred.
You're close.
Marlene. I'm renaming her to Marlene.
I like Marlene better.
You're
Her
too
new
nice.
name, Robert Kirkman. Sorry, but her name is Marlene now.
Yeah, you got it wrong. You spelt it wrong, Robert Kirkman.
Her TV
I
show. It's Marlene. Like we're writing
love
this
it.
for you.
Oh,
Um,
poor
but yeah,
Marlene.
I love it, and I love the fact that he resents his mom so much for treating him the way that she did in his childhood, and now he's like thinking about it, and he was like, but what if this thing like just plagued our entire family and it wasn't actually her that was being abusive, and then the fact that he was able to go into her room, and then we figure out that he's now living in his childhood home. I love him. Like I love Kyle, and I
Yeah,
want to I want to read more about him. So
so good. And the symbolism about like, so Kyle's like living in squalor and is like, he's quite recluse and hermit based on the types of things that have happened in his childhood. Like he was abused pretty badly by his mother, who we find out has a demon in her and has to be exorcised. And he carries a lot of that pain and like torture and suffering that he went through as a child, and he's still in this house and he just can't get free. He can't sort of forgive himself for his part in exercising his mum. Like he thinks
yeah,
that he's really um, like it's a burden that he's living with. And it was so symbolic towards the end of this volume where he's like cleaning out the house, and it's
yeah,
like the first time he's done it, and he's like dragging out the garbage, and I'm like, yes, you go, Kyle. Like it
yeah,
was like a real like underdog moment where I was like really wanting him to like start over and just forgive himself and to move on. And it's like at the same time he's figuring out that he's got these abilities, or I don't know if it's a power, but like he's got some sort of touch where like if he touches someone that's possessed, or if his blood touches them, he's able to cast out these demons. And he doesn't know, he's just piecing it together that he did that to his mum. Like I think that's
yeah,
what's happening.
yeah.
So
But it didn't
he's
work
going through a lot.
on that one guy. So it's like that's what I think that's the unanswered question is why does it work on some people
Yes.
and then not on others? Which
Yes.
and that's what Robert Kirkman does so brilliantly is now I want more. I want to
Well, it's the
know
same sort
more.
of, to me, it kind of reminds me of The Walking Dead in a way, because when you think, I've read the first 3 volumes of The Walking Dead. I know that you've read a lot more, and you'll talk about that. But in terms of The Walking Dead, it tends to be like it's a drama, and there's a lot of character building and getting to know your characters quite well. And there's obviously a bit of action happening too, but it's by and large like. If I talk about The Walking Dead for a minute, it's not a zombie comic. It is a drama comic about human relationships going through a zombie apocalypse, basically.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like this is not a book about demons or possession. It is a book about people and the things that they're going through. Like it's the same sort of thing. It's a drama, and when we think about like volume 1 and what happened, you can surmise like what happened quite briefly, because there's not a lot that happens really, is it? It's just
Right.
building on the characters and building on the background and all of that kind of thing. And I loved it. Like I closed this book feeling like I got to know a new character really well, and I'm like,
Me
I
too.
freaking love this Kyle character. He's great, and I
Yeah.
want more. Like, I want more of it now. So,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. And I'm really glad that Showtime picked it up. So it's actually going to be a show. So it'll be interesting to see how it compares to. I don't want to compare it to The Walking Dead because I don't think that that's fair. But I
Mm.
do think it'll be interesting to see who they get for the show and how it. Now that we've both read it, how it'll kind of play out on screen. Because I mean, I think that that is something that The Walking Dead does really well, and we've talked about this. We talked about this off air.
Mm.
How like when you read The Walking Dead, like you can watch the show, and like even though you've read stuff, there's still surprises along the way, but it stays
Yeah.
pretty true. Like it's like it has this format, and both the comic and the show, follow that. So it'll be interesting to see how it does. I think it'll be fine. Because but
Yeah.
he's gonna have 3 shows on. So he'll have The Walking Dead, he'll have Outcast, and then there's The Walking Dead prequel that's coming out soon on AMC,
Ah.
which I'm really interested in because it's going to actually take place in Los Angeles. So that's going to be interesting, and I guess it's going to follow these groups of survivors like right as the outbreak starts. So it's on a completely different.
It's on a different timeline?
It's on a, I think so. I think it's right when the outbreak hits. It's not only on a completely different timeline, but it's kind of a different time zone as well. So it'll be interesting. So
Wow, okay. That
yeah,
is going to be really cool. Like the one thing I've played the Walking Dead games on PlayStation 4,
yeah,
and I shouldn't say I've played both. I've started the second. I haven't finished it.
yeah,
But story of my life. And the first one, like I cried.
yeah,
I cried twice in that game at certain points. And if you've played the game, like people know exactly what points they are because they're just like they pull at the heartstrings, and these are not like action-packed games the same way that you would play a first-player shooter game.
right,
These are narrative games where you choose your own adventure type style, or the decisions you make affects the rest of the game. But by and large, it's the same game, and like that's what The Walking Dead does so well. Is it doesn't really I don't want to say it doesn't matter who the characters are in it because people get very attached to the characters, Stacey Sholes, and and
no,
no, they don't. But you can build some incredible emotional connections with these characters just based on what they're going through. Like Lee is the main character in the first Walking Dead game, and I fell in love with him, and I was just so devastated at
yeah,
certain points of that game. And then Clementine in the second one, and I want to do everything possible to protect her. Like the way they make you feel about these characters is
yeah,
just ah,
yeah.
it
Like
kills me.
I really want to play The Last of Us, and I was
Ah,
watching
ah,
something. I forget what I was. I was watching the Fine Bros, and like they have like the React channel, and they do like
yeah,
React gaming with like a
yeah,
bunch of YouTubers, and they played like the beginning of it, and I'm watching, and I'm like, okay, and I got so invested in it, and then
yes,
like and I'm like, what? And now I have to play that game.
yeah.
It's a thing.
That is
I'm like, I'm going
that
to
is
have
like
a
my
competition.
favorite game of all time, The
Yeah,
Last of Us. I've played that a couple of times, and yeah, it's so good.
yeah.
And that part, I know exactly that part when when the girl dies, and it's just,
Oh,
I mean, like it's not a spoiler. It's in the first 5 minutes, but
yeah, and then it's like the
yeah,
titles, and you're just like, and I was exactly like how the YouTubers were, like they're like, what? And I'm like, there's tears, and I'm like, I didn't even play this stupid game. I'm just watching this video, and now I have to play it because like they were so cute, and I'm like, ugh.
yeah.
It
That's
reminds
the trick to a
me,
good game.
yeah, and it reminds me. Do you read Witches by Scott Snyder?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
'cause
I
I
do read
just caught
Witches.
up on that, and their
Me too.
relationship kind of reminded me of what's his face, her dad and Sailor.
Joel. Oh,
Yeah,
oh wait, no, hang on, wait. I'm thinking of The
dad's
Last of
name
Us. Sailor and that guy. That's her
and the
dad.
dad. Yeah, and the uncle. And now I'm like,
Yes.
what? Should we transition into talking about this now, since I kind of did
Yeah,
right
let's do
now?
it. Let's do it. Because I only just read it. When did I read it? Last week. Three
Yeah.
and four because I needed to catch up.
Yeah. So I had ordered the first issue online because I was like, everybody was
Okay.
talking about it, and it's Scott Snyder, and I'm like, okay, like I'll give it a shot. And everybody was like warning me. They're like, you can't read this like before bed or whatever. And I'm like, okay. So I got like super hyped up, and I'm like, it's not even that bad. But
No, it's not scary.
yeah, it's really not. It's just really interesting. And then I went to this party at one of our local comic stores here. I guess that was Saturday night. And they had the rest of them. So I picked them up, and the lady who was ringing me up was like, I thought you were going to wait for the trade. And I'm like, I can't. Like, I just can't. I have to know, like, what's going on. And freaking A, like, this is so good. I'm just like,
Scott Snyder can't do any wrong, can he?
yeah, I'm telling you, like, I'm just like, I get why everyone like raves about this now, because it's so interesting, and I want to like know. I'm kind of bummed that I'm all caught up now, because I'm like, aw, I want to read more, and I
Yeah,
want to know what happens.
that's what kills me, Hayes. Like, you catch up to a comic and then you're like, no more binge reading and I have to wait. And I have the worst memory, so, like, by the time the next month's comic comes out, I'm like a goldfish. I'm like, who's this character? Like,
Yeah,
I just can't. I read too much. But,
yeah,
Witches is, it's definitely not a horror in the truest sense. Like, not like Outcast
yeah,
is.
yeah,
But it's creepy.
yeah,
It's definitely got some creepiness about it, and the art. Jock is like the art with the watercolor and the splashes and the.
yeah.
It's really good.
It's
It's really good.
I love it. I'm like, this
So
is so
good.
good. And I love how like Sailor, and I love it. It's so good.
Yeah, so good. We've got a couple of questions about.
Awesome.
I know. So they kind of actually feed really well in with each other. So the first one is from David Portnov, and he said, this one's for me, because I said recently, yesterday just read Miles Morales' Ultimate Spider-Man for the first time. I've never read Spider-Man before,
Awesome.
any of it, ever.
Me neither.
So yeah, so like this was the first for me, and the Miles Morales one. So he's obviously not Peter Parker. He's not the main character. I know that you were talking about, you had that really good analogy of the president and the vice president.
Yeah.
So yeah, right. I'm gonna go with that. So if Peter Parker is like the president of the United States and something happens and he's not okay, then Miles Morales is like the vice president that steps in until President Parker is all right to get back into the role. That's basically where it is. And what made me pick it up, I had been recommended it by a lot of people, and I've been on a bit of a bandwagon lately about color diversity in comics. Um, because there is no color diversity, really, like how many characters do we get of other cultures that are not Caucasian? Like, it doesn't happen often. There was Ms. Marvel, who's Muslim, which is fantastic,
Yeah.
and there's a few black characters, but not that many, not a whole lot. So Miles Morales is a like what they refer to as Black Spider-Man, which take or leave. But yeah, I read it for that reason. I thought I'd had it recommended to me enough times that I probably should just read it and see what I think. And I binge read the first 10 issues. Like, they're only up to issue 10 at the minute. And I read them all yesterday, and I was just like, why didn't I read Spider-Man earlier? Because I'm not a Marvel chick.
Yeah.
Quite well known to not be a Marvel chick. And I'm a bit scared of the backgrounds and the origins, and it's overwhelming and jumping in, and it's all part way. So I'm just a bit nervous of it. And so, anyways, I read it because it was recommended. That's the short answer. And then that's really it. I mean, it was great, and he's great, and it's very cute. Um, we also got a question from Nick, main character, who asked us both about the rumors that Miles Morales might be Spider-Man in the next movie. So they announced that Marvel now have the rights back from Sony to
Yeah.
Spider-Man, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Um, and they've been talking about, I guess, who the next Spider-Man will be because it's not going to be Tobey Maguire. No, wait, it wasn't going to be
Andrew
Andrew
Garfield,
Garfield.
yeah.
Yeah, which is a shame because I really liked Andrew
I
Garfield. I thought he
know.
was
I did.
great.
I as well. I was like,
Yeah,
it's just, yeah, it's a bummer that because he was with Sony, they can't use him now.
I know.
So
So kind of,
is Miles Black Suit Spider-Man?
yeah.
Because I know, and he's in Secret Wars, right?
I don't know. I don't know enough about
Me either.
any of that. Like, that's what my ignorance is going to show, and I'm going to be like,
Me
I don't
too.
know.
But at least we admit it, and we're like, we don't really know.
Oh, look, I'm never afraid to say if I don't know something because the worst thing is to just like pretend you know and then talk about it and then it backfires anyway. So
Like,
I don't know everything.
yeah.
I'll put it
They're
up
like,
there.
I think Jeff Bridges should be him and play him in the next.
But do you not feel like a little bit of pressure sometimes because you're a girl and if you don't know something, people are like, oh, you fake nerd.
A
Like,
little bit, and then I'll just be like, well, and I never feel like the need to prove my nerd cred. I
no.
think that's silly. But
Yeah.
if it's somebody that's just being a jerk to be a jerk, then I'll be a jerk back, and I'll like ramble off like my intense knowledge of like Batgirl or something, and they're like, oh shit, she
Yeah,
actually knows her
outnumbered.
stuff.
Yeah, I will admit to have done that as well in the past. I don't know, like I just feel a little bit of pressure at times, but I don't know
Yeah.
everything, and I certainly don't know. I will say up front,
No
I know
one
like
does. And if anybody
no,
claims that they know everything about everything or that they own an entire franchise because they feel like those characters are special to them, then screw you. Because, I mean,
yeah,
unless you have $1 million and literally can own every single comic in the entire history of comics, comics do not belong to you. Like, unless you're
that's
Stan
exactly
Lee.
right.
And then Stan Lee can tell me that I'm not a true comic fan. If he said you're not a true comic fan, I would be like, well then show me the way. Oh, Jeff. I would be like,
He's
fine.
the only one who's allowed to say anything.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
think
answer
it's dumb.
Stanley only.
Yeah, it's so dumb. Like
Fair.
I don't understand. And then I'll like throw it back onto like the person. Like if they're like, well, you don't really know this, then I'm like, oh really? Well then you should tell me everything about Welcome to Tranquility. And they're like, what's that? And I'm like, oh,
Exactly.
so because like I think
Yep.
sometimes people also forget that there are comics that exist outside of Marvel and DC. I know it's hard for some people to grasp that, but like for the
Yep.
most part, I love indies. Like that's kind of what I'm learning about myself is like I'm obsessed with independent comics right now. So I might not know everything about Spider-Man, but you put me on a lightning round for Walking Dead, and I'm I will beat you out because I am
I
nerd.
think that you could take anyone out with your Walking Dead knowledge. Um, that's the thing about like some of these companies, like Image is like Image and Vertigo, like they do some great titles that aren't comic related. So yeah, I don't know. Like I'm getting way off track with this question that we were asked,
I know.
but
So Miles,
I get so
yeah, Miles
excited.
and Superman. I don't know. I think here's I actually had been thinking about this a little bit. And I don't know because I don't know. You might know this, but was he ever included in the Avengers team? Because
I don't
I
know.
think that
That'll be a
that
question for our viewers.
yeah, huh?
That'll be a question potentially for our viewers, I think, that they might be able to answer for us because I don't know.
I don't either. So yes, tell us. Please tell us at some point. Has Miles ever been included in the Avengers? Because I think then if he has been a team, then that can totally work. If he hasn't, I don't know. I think it would just depend on. Because I assume that that's, obviously I think they're going to have Spider-Man join up with the Avengers at some point.
Yeah,
Um, so it just, I mean, as with anything else, if it's well done, and
yeah,
if it's written really well and the character is done justice, then I have no problem with it. I'm super open-minded anyway, um,
yes.
especially when it comes to Marvel because they haven't let me down yet. So yeah, I see no issue with that at all. So
I have no issue with it either, but I think it needs to make sense.
Yes.
It needs to make sense to the greater, like if they're tying it all in together. Like I think that's what you're saying is like
Yeah.
if they're at some point going to have all these characters united, like it needs to be a logical reason why it
Yeah,
would be
and if
Miles
they're
instead of Peter
doing
Parker.
the Infinity Gauntlet story, which I mean, obviously, it seems like that's kind of what they're going for. Because I believe that the Avengers and the Guardians have actually teamed up in the comics,
Oh,
um,
nice.
and that's I think what they want the third Avengers movie to be is it's going to be like the two combined.
Ah, that'd be
So
cool.
if Miles was in that Infinity Gauntlet thing, then I can totally see that working out. But yeah, I think as long as it has continuity and it makes sense, then
Yes.
then I'm all for it. Unless they just want it to be like they're just going to do like their own like one Spider-Man standalone thing um,
Mhm.
for a while. But that is kind of the pickle that Marvel is kind of getting itself into, because as much as I love that everything is kind of all connected, then if you want to introduce new characters like Ant-Man, um, but then you have all the other characters that interact with each other, that's going to be a little bit difficult, and I think that might be where they have some problem
Yeah.
going into, where it's too connected almost, whereas DC is not even connected at all. So that's just kind of like what's happening now. I don't
Yeah, there
know.
needs to be a little bit more of a fine balance because I think it's nice when there's some reference or some sort of a acknowledgement of the other characters or the other stories that are happening at the same time. But I
Yeah,
think you're right. Like when it's too connected, it's like, well, you're actually shooting yourself in the foot to introduce new characters because, it's so interwoven. How are you going to go about doing that? So,
yeah,
yeah,
very much
yeah.
so.
I do think Ant-Man, I think the trailer looks good though.
Yes, and I love the comic. I'm obsessed. I'm very excited for the next issue. Have you been reading
I
that?
have I've bought the first two issues and I have not read it yet, so I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
really
I
looking
think you'll
forward
like
to
it.
it.
It's real good. I
If
thoroughly.
you like it, then I'll probably like it because we are the same.
This is true.
So, so I'm keen to know about The Walking Dead because we were talking about this before the show went to air, and I am like so in television land, if we're talking about the TV show for a second, I am on the current season right before Beth. Well, I can say it because the
Yeah,
world
it's
knows already. Before Beth dies,
yeah,
because I learnt it off Twitter, and I should never expect to not be spoiled with things like that. Um, so I have not seen that part yet.
yeah.
And in the comics, I've read 3 volumes, and that's it. So I'm I'm a noob. Let's put
It's
it at
okay.
that. I don't know anything.
It's okay. I was that way, and then I just kind of I don't know. I just wanted to finish all of it because I felt like I had my first compendium, and I had a napkin in it as my bookmark, and I showed this in a video of mine. And I literally was one chapter away from finishing it, and I didn't want to because I didn't want it to end because I love it so much. And then I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna order the next one on Amazon because it was real cheap, and I'm like, so then that way I have to finish this first one. And then the
Nice.
next day, the second one came, and I was telling Mel, we were off air, I read, like, I think I only had probably 4 chapters left, and I read, like, the rest of it that night. And then I went to work the next day and had to, like, I think I was just babysitting my boss's dogs, so then I was able to read it all. So I finished it technically in a day and a half, the second compendium, all of it.
Which is huge. Like if you've not seen the
Yeah,
compendium,
it's
it is
they're
huge.
well, you can't see them, but yeah, they're like that big.
Yeah.
And then last weekend, yeah, I went back home, and got the rest of the volumes for Valentine's Day because I was like, I'm just gonna treat myself because I
Treat
don't
yourself.
I want zombies on Valentine's Day for myself, and then finished all of those except for volume 22. Finished that one tonight, and then finally got all caught up. So I finally am all caught up, and I feel so accomplished.
Yay! It's huge. It's a huge
It
effort. Like I
was.
think about the amount I've got to read and I get overwhelmed. I'm like, it's too hard. I can't do it.
Yeah, because that was like, I mean, this is a issue 137, so that was a lot of issues in a very small amount of time. But it is like Outcast. It's like and I've said this before, but I think Sin City was the only other comic series that I have literally consumed that much of. I read all of Sin City in I think it was like a day and a half, because I was
Wow.
so obsessed with it. It's so good. And I had two reasons for finishing it so fast. One, I was borrowing it from my friend, and two, I think it was during Thanksgiving, so I was only home for a limited amount of time, and I wanted to give them back to him before I left, because I don't like borrowing things for a really long time.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's why. But with Walking Dead, it's so good, and I consume it so much. Not only the comics, but the show as well. And I like the comics and the show for very different reasons, I think.
Hmm.
I like the comics. In the comics, I love Andrea and Rick. Spoiler for you, I guess, but they actually end up, and they become like the power couple, I feel, and I thoroughly love the two of them, and I love how Andrea is written in the comics, and I feel in a way that her role in the comics is kind of going to become Carol's role in the TV show.
Mm. Okay,
Not that
yeah.
Carol and Rick are going to end up together. I think if in the TV show Rick ends up with anybody, it will be Michonne. And I
Yeah.
think if Carol ends up with anyone, hopefully it's Daryl. I think that's the way it's going, but I don't know.
Waiting on
Yeah,
that.
I don't know. She kissed him on the forehead, and Twitter broke. That was last episode. And it was one of those things. There's a meme that somebody sent me, and it's like you see her like reaching in, and this was like my exact thing, and you're just like, oh, they're going to kiss, and then she kisses him on the forehead, and like the little like derpy guy is like, not like that, and he like throws the TV in the air. That's exactly how I was. But I'm
Oh
also
my.
one of those people who, as much as I love two characters together. Like I was the same way with Benson and Stabler on SVU.
Oh yeah.
I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
just freaking kiss already, because it's
Yeah.
like, and this is I kind of compare those two to get like those two relationships to each other in a weird way, because SVU, like Chris and Mariska had so much chemistry, and the writers didn't want Benson and Stabler to have chemistry, so it really messed up that show, because it's like if you're trying to ignore something that two people have in real life naturally, and like they can't act as if they don't have that chemistry, like it's real awkward, and that's
Yeah.
kind of, I think, why I stopped watching the show after, well, I stopped after Chris left, because it just got so bad. So and I hope that, because obviously Norman and Melissa have amazing chemistry in real life, I hope that they're not ignoring it, and I don't think that they are, because I feel like the little moments that Daryl and Carol have had are not accidents. I feel like they are written for a purpose, and I feel like it's going to be a definite slow grow, which I'm fine with. I'm totally fine with them. Like, and Norman Reedus has said this. He's like, Daryl's not like a slam you up against the tree and have his way with you. He's like, if he loves you, he's gonna love you for the rest of his life, and like you're gonna be like
Yeah.
together forever. And I feel like
Yeah.
that is where they're sort of headed. And I'm okay with that, because I would watch Melissa and Norman like just sit next to each other and read the phone book. Like they are just
That's so cute.
phenomenal together. And I'm just like, I don't want either of them to die, because I want at least one of them on my TV screen each week. And I don't feel like they're going to kill either of them off anytime soon, because I feel like those are two characters that they have so much more to grow.
Yes.
Especially now, I think they've grown apart all that they can in the show, and I feel like now they can only grow together.
Together.
And hopefully something happens while they're at the safe zone. I think that's what they're leaning towards, but I don't know. I don't want to get
I
my
know
hopes up.
exactly the moment when it's going to happen too, because your Twitter is just going to
Oh,
explode.
I'm
And I'm going to be like,
yeah.
I know exactly what happened.
You're gonna be like, are you okay? Are you okay?
I have to do a welfare check on you.
Yeah.
Someone needs to check on
Picture
Stacy.
me,
I
like,
don't
on the
know.
floor, just like dead, like done.
I don't know if she's okay.
Yeah. And
At least you would
somebody actually
have
asked me, yeah, they're like, do you love Gerald and Carol, or do you like Norm and Melissa? And I think I think it's a combination of the two. But Norm and Melissa they're just awesome, and they're two very like-minded people. Like they're both very artsy and very like kind of outcasty, and I don't know, I adore them. I think they're and Melissa McBride, like where the hell did she come from? Like she's so good on that show. So I'm like, as long
She's amazing. She's amazing.
God. I'm just like,
Yeah.
they really lucked out with her because Carol in the comics is not. She's not great. I don't love her in the comics. That she kind of goes downhill real fast, and is kind of crazy. And then in the show, she just is. She's I think
a mother hen, isn't she?
Yeah, she's one of the most compelling characters on there because you kind of she goes from a character that you didn't really care about or really notice, and you're just like, oh, it's sad, like she's gonna die because she's not a main character.
Yeah, she's kind of a wallflower to start with.
Yeah, and then she freaking blows up Terminus and saves everyone's ass, and like does it with Gerald's crossbow on her back, and it's just like this is the best thing ever. And their hug, like when they reunited, it was one of those things where it's like I think if people didn't ship them before, that is the moment they were like, all right, I get it now. Like,
even I've seen the teasing of this couple together, and I'm like, okay, I can see what's happening.
Well, and like AMC always there's two behind the scenes pictures that never happened in the show. They always use to like promote The Walking Dead, and one is when they were still at the prison, and it's just a behind the scenes. It's just Norman and Melissa being Norman and Melissa, and like he has his arm around her. And then he's looking at her, and like she's looking away, and people think that that's part of the show, but that's just them. And then there was a recent one where he's like hanging on her shoulder, and they're both like looking this way, and their backs are to the camera, and it's like they're just like super good friends in real life, like as close as Daryl and Carol are. I think that's also how Norm and Melissa are, which I think is real cool, and I think that it's one of those things. I want to meet them, like, when they're both at a panel and ask this question. I want to ask them, like, and Robert Kirkman, I guess, as well. But if they always had intended these two characters to kind of, come together and grow together on the show, or if it's because of the chemistry that Norm and Melissa have, that they were like, we have to put these two people together because they're so fantastic. I really want to know, like, if that was just, and I assume it'll be the second one, because they were going to kill Carol at the prison. She and T-Dog were supposed to die, and then they called her, and they said, we're going to, like, it's your time to go. And she was like, well, that's real sad, because she's like, I just feel like this character has so much more room to grow. And they listened to her. Like, she, like, fought for her life, essentially, and they're like, okay, like, we'll keep you on. And she was just like, oh, okay. Like,
that's amazing. I didn't realize.
They love her. Like, Robert Kirkman is like, there's an interview that he did with her at Comic-Con, and he was like, I want to, like, do a Kanye and take all the Emmys and give them to you. He goes, because I don't understand why you haven't been nominated yet. And I'm like, yes. Robert Kirkman knows what's up.
So good. Yeah, she's wonderful. She's a character that goes from, like, being a wallflower to being a, like, mother hen to these girls to just like having this strength that I don't even think she knew she had, and like she's amazing. She's a really good character, and I didn't really notice her so much in the first season, maybe even the second season as well, to be honest.
Yeah.
Although I think she started to come into her own because of the barnyard scene.
Yeah.
And that broke my heart. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And I think that's when she started to grow. I think that's the point where we're like starting to notice who she is.
Yeah.
And she's done amazing things.
Yeah. That was like both. I think season 2 is my favorite season. I like this season too. But season 2 was when, because I didn't have a favorite character yet. Essentially, this is how I got into The Walking Dead. I had worked at a movie and TV store, like, for so many years, and people would always come in and be like, you need to watch this show. And I'm like, it's zombies. I don't think I'm going to like it. And I had tried to watch the first episode, like, 5 times, but I could never get into it. And so it wasn't until my friends were like, we want to watch the show Walking Dead. Like, you want to watch it with us? And I was like, I guess. So we watched it together, and it's good that we did, because I don't think I would have got through the first season myself. But it wasn't until season 2, when Sophia goes missing, that I was like, it's rare for me to not have a favorite character right off the bat. But I didn't really care about Rick. I have a very like love-hate relationship with Rick, both in the comics and in the show. But it wasn't until Sophia went missing, and like Daryl literally did more than anybody. Everybody was just I hated Carl, because Carl goes and gets shot, and then everybody was more concerned about the kid that's like being taken care of by a veterinarian, granted, but he's safe, he's in a thing, and everybody's still worried about him, and nobody's going out to find Sophia. Daryl is the only one. Like, they're talking about it. And they're like, well, we should go over here. And Daryl's like, I'm just going to go because talking about it is wasting time. Goes, and then in the episode, Chupacabra, like, almost gets himself killed. Like, trying to gets shot by Andrea because Andrea's stupid. Like, I was so annoyed with everyone in that season, except for Daryl and Carol. And then that's kind of when, you know, they kind of formed a bond together, and then you're like, and it wasn't right away. I was just like, these are two super broken people who have been abused by people who are supposed to love them. Like, it makes sense that they're going to gravitate towards each other. I didn't think that Daryl would end up being that sweet guy. I always thought he was just going to be like the hard ass, kind of like how Abraham is now. I didn't realize that he was going to be as sweet and as tender as he kind of is. He's like a big, like, grizzly bear, but he's really soft and squishy in the middle. And I think.
And they're the moments that people hang for, though, aren't they?
They what?
They're the moments that people hang for, like the sweet moments of Daryl.
Yeah, very much so. Because I mean, it's just like there's so few and far between. And I think really the only person he's that real with is Carol. And vice versa.
Yeah.
I think they only let themselves be vulnerable around each other, and that says a lot. I think they are more married than Maggie and Glenn are. Because Maggie and Glenn are they were just kind of like, we want to have sex, and you're the only person that's willing to have sex with me, so we're going to get married. That's
Let's make it formal.
Glenn, yeah.
Oh, man.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens with them, but I hope that they kind of end up exploring that relationship, because in the comics there's a lot of relationships that happen that they haven't really happened so much in the show yet. So it'll be interesting to see if that element kind of finally pulls through.
That's awesome.
But like what you were saying earlier, it is very much more. It's less about the walkers, and it's definitely more about the people.
Yeah, definitely.
Romero actually turned down directing an episode or a few episodes of The Walking Dead because he said it was just a soap opera. To which I would say that he's an idiot, because it is like one of the highest rated shows on TV right now. And also,
that's his loss.
To write a zombie comic, and I tried to read it, and it sucked. So Robert Kirkman probably knows more of what he's doing. That like made me angry, because I'm like, you're the dude that did Night of the Living Dead. Like, you should want, like, and it's not really a soap opera, because it's like, it's more realistic in that, like, what would actually happen if it was a zombie apocalypse. Like, it's going to be all about people and the human interactions. And it's really not a soap opera, because there's no, like, I love you, I hate you, I love you. Like, it's not like that. It's like, how are we going to survive? Like, and cannibalism.
It's real. It's like real relationships and real interactions, and if you were faced with the real zombie apocalypse, it wouldn't just be all 0 to 100 and smashing in zombie brains. Like, it wouldn't be about that. You would be worried about your friends and your family and the people around you, and making sure they're protected and safe, and you know, going to find somewhere where it's, you know, safe for everybody. So there is clearly those elements to it that is addressed in The Walking Dead, and I think that is attributing to why it's such a popular TV show, because people watch it and they go, well, what if this happened, you know?
Yeah. And then as I was reading, as I was catching up on all the rest of The Walking Dead today, I was like, okay, like, they're finally safe, like, you know, everything's finally good, everything's calming down, they've, you know, defeated Negan, like, everything's good. And then, of course, as in the zombie apocalypse, something else happens, and now we run into people who take the faces and skins of walkers and put them on themselves, and that's how they survive. Yeah, was not expecting that. Like,
Oh my god,
I'm
that's
like,
like the extreme end of it.
yeah, and like, and it's just real creepy and real weird. And now Carl is kind of with one of them, and it's just I love this. I love it so much because it keeps me on my toes. And I'm like,
Yes, it's
like
always changing.
never, like this is like Leatherface, but even creepier than that. Like, this is like they're taking walkers and making suits out of them. Okay, like that's, and they're like,
Yeah.
and then like the girl that they capture is like, you have to work with the walkers, like we kill for them or something. I don't know. It's very like cultish. It's so weird, and I'm just like, okay, Robert Kirkman, again, you have you have made me completely go, what the fuck is going on?
He has
Is
this way of like the second you get comfortable or think that
yeah,
things are safe, he just like changes the game and
exactly.
changes it and changes it. And yeah, that's how he keeps you on your toes. And I think like you can see that in the TV show, right? You can see that even in the seasons, like things will start to get quiet and then all of a sudden you see an episode that just makes you change like your whole perspective, or they kill off a character that you love. Like they'll do
Yeah,
something to rock the boat and you're like, what the hell? Like you don't
yeah,
see things coming. Like you don't think we're going to kill off a main character? You watch.
yeah,
We don't care. I like,
yeah.
oh my god.
And it's the worst because it's like you feel like these people are like your family as like you're
Yeah.
watching it with them. Like when
Yeah.
Herschel died, I was like, that was the worst. But I actually, and I didn't really care about Beth as a character. Like I was like, okay,
Yeah.
like fine, whatever. And I knew she was gonna die because I got spoiled. But even though
Yeah.
knowing all that and not liking her, like I was sobbing. It was bad, and I'm just like, why
Oh,
does this show do this to me every
is that what I
time?
have in store for me when I watch it?
I don't know. It'll be interesting.
I'll let you
I think because in the way it's done, it's like you don't expect it.
know.
Like, yeah. So what episode are you on in the show?
I feel like I want to say 5, but I'm not
Okay,
good with
so
that
then you
kind of
haven't watched the Daryl Carroll episode.
no, I don't think I have.
Okay, I think
What's the
that's
Daryl
next.
Carroll episode?
It's called Consumed, and it's just the whole entire episode is just the two of them.
Okay, well I've definitely not seen that. So
Yeah.
I
So
think
I think that's the next. I think that was episode 6. It's called
okay.
Consumed. So.
I will make an effort, Stacey. I will make a really concerted effort to catch up because I actually really want to. I enjoy the show. I enjoyed the show
Yeah.
even just in the first few episodes of that season, and it's just a time thing. I'm so time poor
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
horrible. But I think even if I just watch an episode here or there until I catch up, I think that's just what I need to do because I
Yeah.
was hoping to binge watch it. I was
Yeah.
hoping I'd sit down and just completely watch the whole thing, and that's not happening. So
Yeah.
I think I think I just need to watch like whatever I've got the time to watch at any one point until I get up to date.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, I don't know, like the first half of this season, I loved some episodes and I hated others. Like I loved the very first one when Carol like blows up Terminus, and I loved Consume.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like then like the episodes in between, because everybody was kind of separated again, and that's why I hated season.
Yes.
Like once
Yeah.
everybody was separated, I was like this, but it was good in the sense that that's what they wanted the viewers to feel. They wanted you to feel like not at ease, and they wanted you to feel like, okay, like I want everybody back together. Like it was very
Yeah.
effective. But I was also like real tired of it. I was like, okay, like everybody needs
I
to
was
get together,
well. I
act
struggled.
together. And then when Glenn and Maggie are like, well, we'll go to Washington, D.C. with Abraham, I'm like, did we not learn anything from after the prison? Don't
No.
split up. Like, these people just, they don't learn. So
No.
after that, I was like, I don't totally care. And then the opener, like not this week but last week, when it came back, I was like, okay, like this is what I've been waiting for. So I think the back half of season 5 is probably so far my favorite.
Oh,
Because they're
nice.
finally getting to the safe zone, and Aaron comes in. He's awesome. I can't wait for you to get to that part in the comics because he's so cool.
Oh, but how far is that in? Like, I am gonna never get there, Stace. Like, seriously, it's gonna take me my whole life to catch
Yeah,
up.
it's the second compendium, so you have
Oh,
a little ways to go.
oh my God. All right, all right. Baby steps. Let me get onto the TV show, and
Yeah,
then once I'm caught up there, I will then. I'm gonna
yeah.
have to start the volumes again. I read the first 3 volumes. I was saying to Stacy, like, oh, it was a long time ago. It was maybe even a couple of years ago. So I need to reread them, and then I just need to keep reading. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, and I think
yeah.
because and what I wanted to do is between the mid-season break, that's kind of when I wanted to get all caught up, and I just never did. So finally I
Mm,
am. A little bit late, but it's fine.
you
So
got there.
I think, yeah. So I think once you get caught up with the show, then you'll be like, you'll want to know what happens. That's essentially like where I was at, because I was like, what is going on?
Mm.
I want to know. So.
It might be the driver that I need to catch up on the comics. It could be a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was for me definitely. So it probably will be for you as well.
Nice.
Mhm. So
Now
listen, what else?
I
Do
don't
we
know
have
if
more
we got any
questions?
more. I don't think we did. Where is everybody?
Where is everyone? I know you're not working.
Craig is. I say
True.
Craig from our network partner, Post Party at Spargo's, who we're doing a podcast with shortly, right? Like we
Yeah.
need to get our schedules together because we're dealing with uh, Australia and American times. But oh, it's ridiculous. But basically, we're going to be doing a podcast at some point talking comics, and I think Craig said he just wants to host it. He's saying he doesn't want to be a part of it, but that's nonsense because I have
No.
spoken to
Yeah.
Craig about comics and he will totally want to join in because I know what he's like, especially if you start talking about Batman.
Yeah.
He he will definitely add in jump into that. So yeah, so we're looking at doing that shortly, and it's just very exciting times. And
Yeah.
between Stacey and I, we'll continue to do our live hangouts every now and then because I think this has been fun. I've
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
This is super
This is
fun. I enjoy this
yeah,
immensely.
yeah, me too. It's just nice to finally be able to like talk about some of the stuff that I watch in your videos with you, which is great.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, so that will be coming up. The podcast. I mean, we've got a few things individually. We've got some stuff on the pipelines too. I see you have some very exciting stuff that might be happening. I watched your
Yeah.
video.
Yes, I might be. I guess I can say it now since we shot it, but I don't even know if it's gonna go up, but I did a thing for BuzzFeed. It was a video. I did two videos actually. But I don't know if they got any footage that is usable. It was a bunch basically it was a bunch of nerds kind of debating. So
I
I
love
don't know, and they wanted to get sound bites from it. And I'm pretty sure they just got long speeches as to why Superman is better than Batman or vice
that.
versa. So I don't know. I think I
Nerds
will come
can't
out
do
and
anything
post
concisely,
it.
can we?
Yeah.
I
Well, and
love
then
that.
I don't think I helped matters because I was trying to debate Star Wars versus Star Trek, and at one point I said, well, we have Janeway and you have Princess Leia, and everybody started laughing, and they're like, you don't even know what side you're on, and I'm like, oh, I'll never live that down. They're always like, yeah, but which
Oh.
side are you, Steve? I'm like, I like them both. Yeah.
Don't make me
You
pick a
know,
side.
are you into either Star Wars or Star Trek?
No, I know. I'm not I'm like I have to say that I know. Tell me about it though, because you might intrigue me enough.
Well, I mean, I love Vader. Like, I like Star Trek for the good guys, for like the captains, like Janeway and Picard, and I love Star Wars for the dark side.
Hmm.
But essentially, this kind of weaves in with the Star Wars story, like there's at the end of the very first Star Wars comic, there's, you know, he's battling or getting ready to battle Darth Vader, and there's a little bit of a flashback to that. But essentially, Darth Vader has kind of failed. um, and he has to make that up to the Empire. So that is interesting because I like that he's kind of he's failed, and I like that because it shows that he is not perfect. But I love the very first,
right?
yeah, like the very first when you meet him, he's going to confront Jabba the Hutt. And there's this one thing where he's like super like conceited, and he was like, "Who do you think you are, like coming into, you know, to my lair like earlier than we planned?" And Darth Vader, and then like he has like his cronies attack, and Darth Vader one-handed with his lightsaber just like takes them all out, and he's like, "You don't mess with the Force," and I'm like, yeah. So this was awesome. I was very.
That's cool.
And yeah,
the cover art looks beautiful.
Huh?
The cover art on that looks absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, and just the art in this is real cool as well. And I was much more excited for this than I was the first Star Wars issue. And I didn't have to get a stupid variant cover for this, so yay!
I heard about that.
we know how I feel about variant covers now, I think. Only if I have to.
It makes me really anxious when they do like a whole bunch of variant covers that look good, because they're doing that. I wanted to say it was this month, but I feel like I might have already missed some of it. They're doing it for Harley Quinn, unless it's next month.
Oh, yeah. I did see that.
And they're doing... Oh, and it's making me anxious because there's part of me that's like, but I love Harley, so I want all of them. And then there's part of me that's like, you don't need any of those covers, because... Yeah.
I only get them if they're cover price. Like, that's it. And I'll only get, like, and it'll be, like, a comic that I want, and then it'll be, like, okay, like, that's a cool cover. Like, I had to get, when I picked up Star Wars 1, all they had left was the Scotty Young variant covers. And, I mean, it's...
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
And it's, you know, I got a print with it, and they didn't charge me any extra, so I didn't really care.
Nice.
But, I mean, it's already... Like, I forget how much this one was, but these are all, this was like $5. So, I mean, that's already super expensive for, you know.
That's like what we pay out here.
Yeah. I mean, comic prices are shooting way up, and I think that's just because that's Star Wars. So, yeah. And then,
I was going to say, we pay probably like $5 to $6 per single issue, but we're actually now paying more because our dollar dropped. So, which is so mean, because it just means like that cover prices for everything goes up. So.
That explains why you're mostly digital right now, then.
Yeah, digital is way cheaper. Like, even though it's converted into Australian dollars, it's like I can get a digital copy for like $3 or $3.50 instead of $5 or $6. So, I mean, it gives some context as to why I do a lot digital, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense. Are you reading Bitch Planet?
Oh man, I just bought like the first 3 issues of this, but I haven't read it. And I saw your video, and I've seen I think it was T was talking about it as well.
Yeah.
And was it T, and maybe Ali? Did Ali talk about it? I feel like she did.
I think so. Yeah.
I could be making that up. I don't know. I feel like I've seen a whole bunch of like female YouTubers talk about this, and I have bought it to read, and I actually read the first page, but got sidetracked. And you've all consistently said the same thing, and that kind of worries me, and that is that all of you are not sure if you like it.
I think T is the only one out of us who loves it. I think T loves it.
Oh yeah, T does love it. You're right.
Yeah, she does. So my problem with it, like, this was the first issue that I was like, okay, like, I really like this. But my problem is that none of the all the stories connect in a way, but it's so discombobulating because, like, in the first issue, you follow this girl, and then I won't tell you what happens, but then it's like the next issue, you follow like a group of people, and then now in this issue it just focuses on, I forget her name, Penny. Yeah, Penny. And so in a weird way feels kind of like Orange is the New Black if you've watched that
Oh,
show.
okay, yeah, I love that show.
Yeah, which in this issue made me go, okay, this is kind of reminding me of Orange is the New Black, where like each episode kind of focuses on one character.
Ah, I
And I
see.
think that that's essentially what they're doing. And then
Okay.
it kind of made me go, I understand why I haven't liked this so much until now, because I just didn't understand where Kelly was going with this.
Yeah,
Um, and
yeah.
now
It
I
seems
kind of
like
understand it a little bit.
it seems like that'd be a better series to read in trade, when you can
I
like
think
binge
so.
read, you know? Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. But this one I really did enjoy, and I like backstories. So I liked kind of
yes,
getting her backstory because then you care more about the characters. And I was
yes.
reading, I was like very much reminded of Orange is the New Black. And
Awesome.
so yeah, so I now can say that I like this. And as long
Good,
as it keeps
good.
going like this. It just took me, and that's why I didn't want to like give up after the second issue because I said I
Yeah,
really want to like this, and now
yeah,
I
you did.
can say that yeah. So just through the first two issues and then get to this one, and then I think now I kind of have a general idea. It's just weird, not having all of them as a team yet. But I
Yes, yeah.
think that's going to be the end result, is we're just getting to learn the characters in each issue, and then we'll have, an issue with them all together, and hopefully they take over this horrible system that is putting all non-compliant women into this, like, security prison. So it's an interesting concept. It's kind
I'm
of like,
excited to read it now.
yeah, yeah. So I think, yeah, I like it a lot better
I
after this week.
It's good. And the fact that I've got the first three to read kind of gives me some comfort, because then I think I can just binge read the three of them together and just put it all into some perspective, you know? But that
Yeah.
helps knowing that, because, like, it probably would have lost me. It probably would have lost me had I not realized what it was trying to achieve. But
Yeah, and that was like
that sounds really good.
yeah, and then once I learned, because I didn't know how many issues it was gonna be, and I was like, okay, if this is only like, gonna be like a 10-issue thing, I don't think I'm gonna like it. But it's gonna be like 40 issues. So knowing that, I was like, okay, like I need to give it at least 10 issues and then make a decision. And now I'm like, okay, I think I'm gonna keep pulling it. So
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. No, I plan on probably reading that. I don't know if I'm gonna have time this afternoon, because I've got a few things on with videos and podcasts and things like that. But
Yeah.
I think definitely tomorrow, or at least this week, that'll be like a series that I will read and catch up on. And it's on my list. Those covers are beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
I'm really, really enjoying that. So
Yeah. They're awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. What else? So what did you read? Because I think that's all. Except for Ghostly. I read the last
Um,
Ghostly. But do you read this? I don't think you do.
no, but I know I have bought, like, the first three issues again with the three issues,
Yeah.
um, because you recommended it,
Yeah.
and I was like, you were talking about it, and you said, if you're not reading this, you have to, and I'm
Yeah.
like,
And
whoa,
it's
okay,
real sad because this is the fourth issue, and the last issue I think that's going to be in paper print. They're
yeah,
going to it's called like Printry Digital or something, and they're just gonna let the creators finish the series out, and then they're canceling, like it's done. So I'm super bummed because I really, really love this
that's
series.
a shame.
I know, but I'm glad that Dark Horse is like they're not just canceling it after this one. They're like gonna let the
Yeah,
creators like finish the story to completion, and then
tie it up. Yeah.
yeah, and then they're gonna put the trade out, so I'm definitely gonna get the trade and stuff. But I'm just super bummed. The guys that do this follow me on Twitter and have been like super cool, like interacting with me and stuff. So I feel super bummed for them.
Mm.
But yeah, I know I didn't convince enough people to read this, and I'm really
But
sad.
you were buying it, yeah. No, but you were talking about it a lot, and
Yeah,
I do. issues. So I think it's good that they're at least able to get that opportunity to tie it up because there's nothing worse than like you buy an issue and it's like a cliffhanger and you don't know how it ends and
Yeah. So
yeah,
I am glad that, and I'm glad that they're gonna put it out in trades. So
nice.
that's good. But yeah, so
The only
that's
other thing that
what I read.
I was gonna say, the only other thing that I read was, and I think you're reading it, The Kitchen by
Oh
Vertigo.
yeah, I read the first issue and I haven't been able to find the other in back issues, so I need to get the trade when it comes out. But I loved it.
Yes. I didn't quite finish issue 4 yet because again I had to put it down for some reason and just didn't get time to pick it back up yesterday. But I read the first 3 issues and most of issue 4, and it is so good.
Yeah.
Like it is. I didn't really know what it was going to be about, to be honest, apart from like women, and I thought maybe in the kitchen, and I was like, oh, okay, is this going to be like one of these like feminist type titles about women saying you can't put me in the kitchen? I don't know. So, anyways, that's where my mind goes. So,
Yeah.
I picked it up, and so no, it's not about women in the kitchen. It's about a place called Hell's Kitchen, and these women in the 70s, 60s or 70s, and their husbands, like I want to say like mob style type crooks, maybe not the mob, but like Irish
No, I think
crooks.
they are. Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah.
They're pretty affiliated. They're like standover men,
Yeah.
get arrested, and so basically the women are like left to fend for themselves, and they decide that they're going to continue collecting the standover money themselves. And they're not good women. They're like,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, they're like they've got potty mouths, and like every panel just about has like an F-bomb in it, and it's great. I love
Yeah.
it. I think it's fantastic. It's very violent.
Yeah.
It's no holds barred, and and I don't know, it's just gritty and just it's just unlike another title I've read. So I'm really enjoying that at the minute.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be finishing issue 4, but
Yeah. I know. I need to find them. I hope. I don't know. I haven't been able to find them in back issues. So
I've just been buying them digitally
yeah,
again.
I might. Yeah, I know. I might have to cross over to that at some point.
Yeah, I mean they're a bit hit or miss for people I get, but yeah, for like someone like me who can't really help themselves and I need to have like the issues now, it's really good for impulsive people because
Yeah.
I can have whatever I want now. So
Yeah. Exactly. Are
yeah.
you reading Lady Killer? I forget if you are.
Yes, I am reading Lady Kill. I've read the first 2 issues. Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah. And I believe that you told me about that one too. I
I
read
think
it. I'm
so,
like,
yeah. That's
ah,
another one that I was like, if you're not reading this, because I mean, it's an awesome story, and the art in that is like, oh my
off
God,
the hook.
so good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really good. And issue 3 is going to be amazing where they've left it off at the minute, and they're like basically she has to try and balance, 1950s housewife having to balance her husband and children over being a hit woman, and they've pretty much said, if you want this job, screw your family type thing, you have to like be heartless. And I think it's a kid. I don't know, did
Yeah,
you
I mean,
it
it
looks like
didn't
it's a
say, but when she opened up her file, it was a picture of a kid, and I
it was a
think
picture of a kid.
why she was like, oh, I have to like when they're in bed, she was like, oh, hey, honey, like tomorrow, I have this thing that I don't have to go to if you need me around. And she's like,
Yeah.
no, you're fine. And then you just see her face, and she's like I wanted this like be my out. Like her husband has no idea. And I love the fact that like now we know like she was doing this 15 years before she got married. So now
Yeah.
it makes
Yeah.
sense that now that she's kind of seen, what a normal life can be like, she wants out and she doesn't want to do it anymore. So it's very, yeah, it's very interesting, and I definitely want to know like more what happens. I'm
Yeah.
so bummed that it's just a limited series, and I think it's only
I
gonna be 5.
know.
So I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
like 8 issues, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it broke my heart. Like I tweeted at I think her name's is it Jolene Jones? Did I
yeah,
get that
yeah.
right? Yeah, I tweeted her and I'm like, why is this a limited run? You're breaking my heart. Like
No.
this should be a series full stop. Like this should be like a series that just continues. Like,
Yeah, maybe they will. I mean, I mean, the fact that like it was like a super unknown thing and it sold out so fast of its
so
number one,
quick.
then maybe,
Yeah.
or I would be thrilled if they turned it into like a mini series on TV because I think that could totally work. It could be like
Yes.
it would be so
Yes.
fun.
This would be such a good series. This could be almost, I don't want to say Dexter, but I'm going to say it. It could be kind of like that quirky,
Yeah,
like killer, but make it 1950s and like Leave It to Beaver. But oh my God, it could be so good.
I
It
know.
could be so good. I'd love to see that.
So awesome. I'll make it happen.
Yeah. Can you please? I mean, you live in LA. Like, I'm sure you've got connections, Stacey. Make it happen.
I'll make
Oh,
that my graduation project. Like I've graduated.
please.
I need to
Please.
turn this comic book. There's so many comic books that I want to turn into TV shows anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but that's top, right? Like, that has to be your top priority at the minute.
yeah, I mean it's because
Yeah.
it's so good. I just love
So
it.
good. Yeah, that's actually probably my favorite series at the moment, Lady
Me
Killer.
too.
I'm gonna put that at the top. Yeah. Um, The Kitchen, I would say, is up there. Like, it's been a really good series. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying this diversity in terms of the books that I'm picking at the moment. Like, I'm not just sticking with DC anymore, and it's exciting to read books that are just, very different and new and, I don't know, original.
Yeah.
So I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like that's why I'm picking up more independence than I am from the big two because it's just like the storytelling is so different and it's just
Yeah,
there's really no comparison. Um,
yeah.
and then it's like trying to read Kingdom Come was like okay, but I just read a bunch of Walking Dead, so
Yeah, yeah.
it's
Not the right time to do it.
yeah, or like trying to read, I don't know. I don't know. I think that's why it's good that I'm, as far as DC goes, like right now I'm really into Scott Snyder's Batman because it's super
Yes.
dark and it's in the same vein as like the indie stuff that I'm reading. So it isn't quite as much a shock to my system as like reading, I don't know, like
Hmm.
maybe Harley Quinn would be, because I haven't started Harley Quinn yet either. But I know that
Harley
you
Quinn was
said
fun.
that like the issue that you sent me or the trade that was when it was like really good. But you still like it, or it's gotten too?
I just finished reading issues 13, 14, and half of the Valentine's special that they did. It's still good. When they introduced Power Girl for a little bit, I just was like, I wasn't. I mean, they weren't not good issues, but they weren't my favorite issues either. Because
Yeah,
I mean, there were some pretty funny moments though. Like, I won't lie, Power Girl dressed up in a monkey suit is
that's
pretty
awesome.
good. Like, she
Yeah,
loses her memory basically, so they make up some lie about her life to make her believe that she's like in tandems with Harley Quinn and a supervillain. So they just make her do a whole bunch of stuff, and then she gets her memory back and isn't impressed at Harley. So, but it expands over a few issues, so it's good. Um, but yeah, the Valentine's issue has been pretty good so far. Actually, I'm only about a third of the way through it, and she's basically Bruce Wayne is like being auctioned off for like a charity event, as for a date, and Harley's like trying to basically do a bit of a Robin Hood type thing and just like steal from actually, it's really not Robin Hood at all because she is. She's stealing from the rich. So she's like
yeah.
trying to steal all this money from brokers and like, Wolf of Wall Street people to like try and fund her date with Bruce Wayne. So I think from what I've heard, there's a kiss with Bruce Wayne in it. I think that's pretty cool. It's
Funny.
just a fun series. You read it, and there's nothing but lighthearted humor in it.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing you have to think too hard about with Harley, and I enjoy that because compared to some of the reads that we have, it's refreshing. Like, it's just nice to have a laugh, and some of the in jokes, I guess, that they've built up over the course of this series are quite funny, and you still see like little hints at things, here and there, little Easter eggs that they sort of nestle into the pages, and you're like, that like there's more to it than just cheap laughs. Like, they're very clever. So Yeah, I don't know. I like Harley. I still like Harley. I just the Power Girl issues were not my favorite, but
Yeah,
she's now not in them. So yeah, so far it's picking back up.
that's good. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, it's
excited
good.
to read that trade because I do want to, and I mean, for me, I don't like to compare the two, but for being such a Deadpool fan, I don't know why I wouldn't like
Oh
her.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't know, like, no, I totally get the comparisons because I've read Deadpool and I see the
yeah,
comparisons myself. Um, but she's cute, she's got that cutesy thing about her at the same time. So, and I don't know, she's become an anti-hero. She's not a good girl, but at the same time, you just find her funny and charming. So she's,
yeah,
in that sense, she's kind of likable, even though she's not good. So yeah, she's cool. But yeah, definitely like you should at least read the first issue of the first trade and see what you think and go
yeah,
from there. And if you don't love it, then yeah, you can drop it. But yeah, I
yeah,
like it. I think it's funny.
yeah. I think I will like for something that's different and funny and I think I
Yeah.
definitely would if Gail wrote her.
Oh my God. Yeah. I
Because
think that'd be hilarious.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, she
that
did,
would be
didn't
fun.
she?
Yeah, and then since she's doing Secret Six, I think it would be fun to see her write Harley. I don't know what her thoughts are on Harley. That'd be a good question to ask her. Uh,
Ask her. Yeah.
yeah,
I
I'll
would
do
love
that.
that.
I'll do that tonight if she's on Twitter. I will pose that question to her because
I always find it hard to get her attention because of the time zones. Like, she
yeah,
follows me, she's retweeted me before, and I'm like, oh my God. But I'm not in the same, country as her, so by the time I tweet, she's usually asleep, and vice versa. So I always have to catch up on Gail's stuff, and I'm pretty sure she's not up catching up on my stuff. So, yeah, we're not that close.
you just need to move here. Like that's just what needs to happen.
Well, you never know. You never know. It could be in the cards, but we'll just wait and see.
That would
So,
be awesome, and then we could do live
would be
shows.
awesome.
Like, and you could be right here.
I could sit with you. Oh my God.
That'd
That's
be so
incentive
fun.
enough. I'll be there next week.
Yep.
Oh, if only it was that easy.
I know, right? Too bad it's
Yeah.
like how many hours? Like 18 hours on a plane?
15 to LA, which is it's not great, but it's not too bad. And when I went to New York, it's like an extra 6 hours on top of that. So it's just like, it's a lot of flying.
Yeah.
It's a lot of flying. So yeah, I don't know. I'm planning on coming out there at some point. It might even be July instead of August.
Ooh, that'd
So
be awesome.
yes, so we will have a catch up for sure.
Yes. That'd be
We
so fun.
could do a live show together at that point.
Yes. And we can go to Disneyland because that should happen.
Yes, I
'Cause
went to Disneyland last time and I want to live there.
yes. And like I think they're doing like a whole Marvel thing now because since Disney owns Marvel, I think they
Oh
turned I know you can meet Thor, and I haven't yet. I haven't isn't it I've lived here in LA since July and I haven't been to
my
Disneyland.
God.
I am the
Oh
worst
man,
human ever. I've
we're
been
gonna go.
too busy. Yes, we will go.
Go. We will go. Settled. Oh,
Yes.
that's exciting. Well, when I have dates, when I'm booked in, and when I've actually got tickets in my hand, I will let you know.
All
And
right.
and we will do Disneyland, and it will be amazing.
Yes. So fun.
Awesome.
I love
Love it.
it.
I don't think we had any other questions, so that's fine. If we did want to
Yeah.
make.
I wonder if we have any on our YouTube thing. Let me
Oh man, I didn't even check.
see. We might. I think we do. Hang on.
Uh
Oh,
oh.
yes,
Uh
there's a
oh.
lot. Okay, wait.
Oh shit.
Um,
All right, hang on. Let me go in and have a look. And because my laptop decided to stop charging midway through this, let me just quickly try and charge this again. Hang on, I'll be 1 sec.
yes.
I'm still here. I can still hear you.
I'm like not looking. Okay. So Oddfellow's thoughts. That's the first comment on here. Said Aquaman has a beard, or Aquaman as a beard. Well, you put as a beard, but
Oh,
Aquaman
hang on.
has a beard. He's a badass. Yes. I totally agree with that. I think the Aquaman with a beard and facial hair and long flowing hair is way more of a badass than clean shaven Aquaman. I do agree with that.
Yes. Oh man, we've got heaps of comments.
I know. Okay.
Shit.
I know.
Sorry.
Comic said Ant-Man has been an amazing comic, fun yet not cheesy. Yes, I agree. I love it. It's I'll be interested to see what you think about it, Mel.
Yeah, I will add that and Bitch Planet to. And what else did I say I was going to read? That was it, wasn't it? I will add those to my list for this
And Walking
week.
Dead, you have to catch up on that.
Oh yeah, this week I'll have it done tomorrow, Stace. No worries.
There you go. Yeah, I have faith that you can do that.
Wow.
You don't have anything else to do, right?
No, nothing else. That's right. I'll just call it sick a week. I can't come in.
Yeah. The Reverend HD said it was so bad I didn't watch it. I'm not sure what he is referring to.
I'm going to guess he's talking about The Walking Dead. Rev will tell me. He's my friend.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Either that
I'm sure he'll clarify in a second. I'm guessing The Walking Dead.
Okay.
Comic. Ant-Man has been an amazing comic. Fun, yeah, not cheesy. Did you just read that one?
Yeah, I did. That's all right.
Are they coming out of order? They're out of order on mine.
Oh, how weird.
Sorry.
I don't know. Okay. Oddfellow's Thoughts said Secret 6, I just hate the dummy. Yeah, I know. The dummy is stupid, but it's ventriloquist, so you kind of got, they're a team, and you have to get through him. Like, he's supposed to be annoying. So, I think we're supposed to hate him, because I also do hate him.
Rev just told me he's talking about the Superman movie. Fair point.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair point. Yeah. Okay. I accept that.
Yes. Main character channel said, I wish David Goyer wasn't writing everything DC. Me too. Main character channel. Me too. Then maybe I would be a DC fan. Yeah, I also agree. Then Oddfellow's Thought said Batgirl, being informed, that's why I'm reading it still. Yeah, okay, but I
just read the spoilers
for a while too, Mel, right?
So I hang in there for like 2 issues, 3 issues. Yeah. I don't even think I finished the third one. I think the last one I read was the one with the drag queen, and that made a big controversy.
Yeah.
I was just like, I read it, so I'm informed.
Yeah.
But I still didn't like it.
Yeah. You read it and you were like, why am I reading this? Yeah.
I was mad. I was like reading it and I was mad as I was reading it. I'm like, I can't believe I'm reading this. But anyways, you don't want me on that tangent again.
Yeah, we've done that.
I'll go for a while.
I know, between the two of us, we could do just a whole Batgirl rant video.
Yeah. We would have a lot of haters because there are a lot of, there's a lot of people that I really like, respect, and admire that generally, with comics, they love it. That not even just reading it, they're just love it. And I'm like, we're never going to see eye to eye on this.
Yeah, and I think those people are probably less invested in the character than we are, and I think that could be why, and they can separate themselves from it, whereas we are very personally involved with Barbara Gordon.
I can normally do that pretty well. I can normally separate myself from the character exceptionally well, and this time I just couldn't, and so I took it personal. But,
yeah, me too.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Comic said, there's nothing wrong with crying at that game. I look forward to every episode of the game, yet I'm a big crying mess when I finish. I got a free thing because I have my Xbox 360 still. I'm old school. And I got a free trial of it, and I really liked it. But I played the official AMC Walking Dead Survival Instant game with Daryl's the main character, and Norman Reedus and Michael Rooker. I loved Merle. That's another thing about the that I like. But they're both the voices in that game, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. I just finished it, so I need to either play through The Walking Dead or do The Last of Us. So I'm not exactly sure which one I'm going to do first. Yeah.
Oh, I can't, like, I would always say The Last of Us, but then part of me is like, you're such a Walking Dead fan that I think that you would see some value in that.
Yeah, I
It's
think
good.
yeah,
It's
I think
good.
maybe that's gonna be. I'll just get it on my Xbox Live. Maybe I'll do that tonight.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it might be
Yeah.
video game night.
Yeah,
I
you
haven't played
should.
a game in a while.
It's yeah, there's like you play like I think there's like 6 episodes in the first five maybe. I don't know off the top of my head. Five, there's five. And I think it's like something that happens in episode 3 and then 5 and then those two ones are the ones that make you cry. But
Okay.
be warned.
I mean, I'm the one who was like, when I went and saw The Hobbit with my dad, like this last one, and I'm
Yeah.
glad that I'm glad I didn't see it at the midnight premiere by myself here in LA like I was going to go do, and I'm glad that I didn't go with any of my friends because I was a sobbing mess to the point where my dad had to hand me his hanky because my dad still carries around hankies.
That's so
It was the most
cute.
embarrassing thing in the entire world because it was not like it wasn't one of those where I can look at the ceiling and like the tears will stop. It was one of those like all of a sudden it was like
it was ugly cry. Yeah.
Oh, it was like my face was red. It was horrible. I went into
my
the
face
bathroom with
red.
my sunglasses on. It was bad.
Oh
Like,
man.
all the feels, and then like the Billy Boyd song came on during the credits, and it started all over again, and I was like, "This is horrible."
Oh, that's so funny. I do that when I cry. I get all blotchy.
It's the worst. Robot IV, so somebody like Saga apparently said, "Hey guys,
Yes.
video. Thank you. You are in an awesome comic, sir, because I read the first volume of Saga for school and loved it, and now I need the rest of them."
Yes.
You've read Saga, right?
I read Saga. I read volume 1. I've got I actually just bought actually, where is it? Volume 4 is here somewhere. I haven't even read volumes 2 and 3 yet, but I've got volume 4. I do have volumes 2 and 3. I'm slowly buying it because I feel like if I buy them, like now I've bought 4, that it might give me a kick in the ass that I need to like continue reading the other ones.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's really, really good.
That's all. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then main character channel answered a question. He said, "I think Miles teamed up with the Ultimates." In parentheses, Avengers in the Ultimate Universe. So, okay. I could see that. I could see that working. Oddfellow's thoughts then said, "As much as I'm not a fan of the new Batgirl, the storyline that they have going is actually pretty interesting." All right.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, I know, me too. I know. He's notorious though for like even like he's still reading Batwoman even though it's bad because he likes to finish runs out. So.
Oh no!
Yes.
And like, no, I can't even. No, no. I
can't. I know. We're just. We love you.
You're not ready for this. Yeah, you weren't ready for this. All right. Moving on.
Yeah. Main character channel then said, "I remember people wanted Sylvester Stallone to play Frank Miller's Batman." Yeah, I could see that.
Oh yeah.
That would be, yeah.
There's comments to that. There's replies to that. The Frank Miller Batman.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, what if Gary Busey was Frank Miller's all-star Batman if they made a film? Gary Busey?
Let's just talk about Gary Busey for a second. I love The Celebrity Apprentice. Like, it's an actual thing.
I saw that.
When he was on, it's like my favorite season. I love Trace Adkins. I love that he won, but I just love that Gary Busey is just so like, what planet are you from? And there's one point where it's Trace Adkins, Lisa Rinna, and Gary Busey, and Trace Adkins is like, "The Men in Black are gonna find him." He goes, "Because I swear he's an alien."
And he's a strange character. Like, he has, is it mnemonics? Like he's got like an acronym for every single word. Like
Yes.
he'll say dream, and then he'll have like words for it. I'm like, oh man, Gary Busey is everything that I dislike in a person.
Yeah.
Like basically, like I just
Yeah.
yeah
Yeah.
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 It would be funny to watch.
Yes. Oddfellows Dotson said, I'm a fan and I hate Goyer's comments too. Yeah, I take it really, and I know Travis has said this before, and he's like, you need to, like, get over that, but I just feel, when I feel disrespected as a fan, it's just real hard for me to then want to support that person in
Hmm.
their films. And also, it would be here's where it would be different. It would be different if I thoroughly liked the films. If I liked the films, then I think I could get over his comments. But because I just
Yeah,
don't like the films either, it's like a double
doesn't help.
thing. And it's not like I don't want to like the films. Like I've said, and I said this on my DC versus Marvel video. I want to love Batman. Obviously, I love Batman as a character, so I really do want to like the movies and the stories and stuff. But I just can't. And that's, not I liked or I didn't like them even before I knew that Goyer said that stuff. So that kind of is just an afterthought for me and is just kind of confirms why I really don't like these films. I didn't like them
Yeah.
before I knew that either. So yeah, I mean, I will, like I said, I will probably see the Aquaman movie, the
Hmm.
standalone one, because I am very interested in what they're going to do with that, and as long as sharks
Yeah.
are in it, I will be totally fine, because I love and I like underwater stuff. I just find, like, that, like, an underwater world could be very cool. Um,
Oh, definitely.
so, I mean, as long as they keep it, like, they're in Atlantic, isn't it, like, Atlantica or something, is what,
Atlantis?
is it
I could be
Atlantis?
wrong.
Or is it
I
Atlantis?
don't know.
That underwater city. As long as he's
Do you know
underwater
what the
and it
embarrassing
works, I'm cool. So, yeah. So
the
that's just kind
embarrassing
of
thing is
my.
I've read the first two trades of the new 52 as well, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah,
Allie Reed's
it's
book
good though.
says Aquaman looks so badass. Yeah, he really does. I like that he has
He's
tattoos and
hot.
stuff. So he is.
He can
Yeah,
have my
he's,
baby.
he's very, very awesome. J Rock said, "It's good to know it's safe to masturbate." LOL, big relief. Yes, you're fine.
Big relief.
And then Dud or Comic to Comic said even the DLC of The Last of Us is better than a lot of games coming out right now. And
Yeah, yeah,
then
I agree.
they had Oddfellows Thoughts and said, "Have you ever played through Last of Us more than once? I just don't think I can play it again. It was good, but I don't know. I want to ride that roller coaster again."
Oh, I
And
get
then
that.
Comic to Comic said, "I think I could if I gave it some time. The ending left me conflicted in a good way." So I
Yeah,
apparently will have to play this game for sure at some point.
yeah. At least play it once.
Yeah, I will. I
I
will.
started to play it twice. When I say I've played it more than once, like I'm about halfway through it for the second time, and like I know what's coming up, so I guess part of me in a way is kind of put it off because I'm like, I can't. So
Yeah.
I just haven't turned
Yeah.
it back on again. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's an emotionally, it's crippling. Like it's
Maybe when I get it, we can, like, play it, like, together, so then we can
yes,
just, like, have, like, emotional support.
yes.
There we
Tell
go.
me when you get it, and I
Yeah.
will do that with you for
All
sure.
right. A makeshift library said, "Woo, Bitch Planet." Yeah, Bitch
Yes.
Planet was very surprisingly good this week. So
All right, I will be reading it.
yes. Okay. Then we have some thoughts on Frank Miller. Oddfellow's thoughts said Frank Miller Batman is just a reflection of Frank Miller. Yuck. And
Oh,
then
that's what that comment was.
yeah, and then Prince Robot Ivy said, "I was just thinking, yeah, what if Gary
The
Busey?"
Gary Busey.
And then Oddfellow's thoughts said that would be an awesome comedy, and then Prince Robot said, or Nick Nolte. Yeah.
Nick Nolte.
Pretty,
Oh
yeah.
man.
And then
Yeah.
Main Character Channel said digital is tax free, yo.
Nice. I didn't know that they were tax free. I mean, I just know that they're cheaper, and cheaper even in Australian dollars is cheaper than what we normally pay. So
Yeah. And what do you have an iPad that you read them on?
I I have an iPad Mini that I read them on,
Yeah.
and They're amazing. Like iPad Mini is the right size, I reckon. I did have an iPad 2, and I was reading them on that for a while, but that's really awkward to read in bed. Like they're quite heavy.
Yeah,
And if you're trying to like lay on your side, it's just it doesn't work. So
yeah.
yeah, so the iPad Mini is perfect, and I use Comixology, but I also have the Dark Horse Marvel and DC apps. I think I've got the IDW one, or have I can't recall. But I try and like for Lady Killer, you can't buy it on Comixology, so you've got to
Oh,
buy it from Dark Horse Direct.
yeah.
The other ones I just tend to always buy from Comixology, and I hate what they've done with their shopping cart and how
I
they've
know you
changed
did
it
a
up.
video like ranting about it. I remember that.
I was so mad. I'm still not over it. But I kind of just was like, because I was in that video, it was kind of that moment where I'm like, I'm never shopping there again. They've lost me as a customer. I mean, it wasn't like that cutthroat, but it was pretty bad.
Yeah,
And then like next week, I'm like, yeah, but I still buy at Comixology. I kind of just got over my anger a little bit and just went, I hate you, but you've got really
yeah.
cheap prices. So
That's funny. Yeah. I
yeah.
apparently now with Ghost Fleet, that'll be like my first. I've only bought one digital comic, and it was the Sensational Wonder Woman that Gail did.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
now because of Ghost Fleet, I guess I'm gonna have to download the Dark Horse app, and I don't have like a mini iPad or anything, so I'm just gonna have to like read it on my phone. So that's gonna be a bummer.
Depending on what type of phone you have, because I've got an iPhone 6 Plus, so it's the bigger one. But if
Yeah.
you've got like Samsung or anything that's big,
Yeah,
what if
mine
you?
was the iPhone 6. It's not that. Oh,
Oh,
give me a minute.
oh,
Um,
hello.
but yeah, I didn't get the plus because I was like, it might be too big, but I really don't think it would have been. So I have
No,
no.
well that's the issue I had. But I mean, if I can hold it, like
Yeah, and you
anyone
have a
can.
cover
It's
on it
not
and
that bad.
everything. So yeah,
Yeah, I've got a cover. I've got a like a leather flip. Like I mean, who
so
does flip covers, right? But
yeah,
it's just I like it.
that's
So
awesome.
yeah, so I mean, able to read comics really, really well on that. The iPhone 6 should be fine because it's only a centimeter narrower in width. So if you do
Yeah,
guided view, you'll be fine. So um, yeah, I don't know. Give it a try. See what you think. But it's definitely cheaper, and if you're buying a lot of titles every month, I know for me it's a storage issue. So like having all these single issues is just a burden because I'm like, where am I going to put them all?
yeah,
So
yeah,
single issues I like to buy off like digitally, and then trades I have bought digitally, but I'll always usually end up buying the physical copy if I like it because
yeah,
I like them on my shelf.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I do too. I know. It's getting to the point with my singles where like I need a new organization system because I have three long boxes that are being hidden by Beetlejuice at the moment. But
nice.
and they're so like like there's no organization in there at all. At one point, like the top one is about as organized as they come because it's like my Deadpool and then Gail Simone stuff, and then I
Yeah.
just end up throwing all of my random stuff in there, and it's driving me crazy. So I'm like, I need to figure out a new system of
Yeah.
organization. I need like file. I don't know. I'm gonna have to like do research and see. Hey, question to the people: how do you organize your comics if you don't keep them in long boxes? Because I mean, even short boxes, I don't think I would like those as much. I know you can get the ones like where they're
Yeah.
like a drawer, but I
Yes.
don't know. I mean, my apartment is super small, so it's like having long boxes is like it takes up most of my
So
space.
much
But I
space.
use them as like a footboard against my bed, so that works.
Yeah, it works well. Like you can't even see it.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of just like tend to put in comics in the order I get them, and that's not a good order because it's just kind of like
yeah,
I just chuck stuff in there. Like okay, I bought this. Let's put it in the. I've actually got a short box that I just keep on my shelf. It's actually like an old. It's not even a shoebox. It's like a gift box that was given, with a gift, and it's pretty.
yeah,
It's red, and it's got like I just took the lid off it, and it's a perfect width for singles with bags and
yeah.
boards. So I'm like, it's perfect. So yeah, but I just basically put in stuff as I get it, and yeah, it's not in any order, and it would do in anyone's head if you've got any sort of like OCD or anything about you. Like my best friend is OCD, so she would have a conniption if she saw that there was no order to any of my bookshelves. But
Yeah.
that's my problem, not hers. I'm
Yeah.
okay with it. So, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
I don't
no.
think. Sorry.
I was gonna say like knowing that my stuff is out of order right now is just driving me insane.
Oh,
Just
you
being
like you
oh,
get bothered by that?
yeah, like everything has to be like I have my Marvel shelf, I have my DC shelf. You will be proud to know is taking over my Marvel shelf.
Yes. I
Yes.
do love that. I do love
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I've gotten you to
Yeah.
read all the indies. I think though my Walking Dead shelf is taking over that entire bookcase because I have like all of my like it's the biggest shelf and then I have it's like had to go to other shelves. Like I had to totally reorganize my bookshelf the other day to keep all
Oh
my
my
singles
God.
and then those new compendiums. Like I just
Oh,
need a
those
whole
compendiums are huge.
they're giant. I know. I
Yeah.
love them. They're the only compendiums I have in comics though. So, because
Yeah, I'm not a big compendium collector either, but it just made sense with The Walking Dead because I'm like,
yeah,
there is so much. Like, I couldn't justify. I did have like the first three volumes in trade form to start with, and then I bought the first compendium. I'm like, well, that's going to replace those,
yeah,
and yeah, and I just stopped buying the trades after I got the two compendiums. I'm like, at least that's just like bookshelf space that I can get some, some real estate back in. So
yeah. That's
good.
yeah. And I wish
Yeah.
I could say the same thing, except for I not only have the two compendiums, I now have a bunch of the trades. I have a bunch of the single issues, and I have a nice like hardcover collector's edition. So I literally have
Handy.
every form of The Walking Dead in comics that you can
Nice.
get. Like it's a thing.
Nice. But you're a fan, so I can understand that as well. Like
I'm
that
a
would make
fan,
sense.
and I just could never figure out how the hell I wanted to collect them. That was my problem. Like, because the
Yeah.
first thing I had was one of the trades. I had the very first trade, and then I
Mhm.
gave that to one of my coworkers, one of my ex-coworkers, because I got this really nice hardcover edition
Oh no.
at Wonder World last year. And
Mhm.
then I was trying to find those, but they're like super expensive. And then I was like, well, the compendiums are way cheaper than doing this any other way. So
Yeah.
it's just I have all The Walking Dead. And then yeah, I wanted the singles for some dumb reason because I was just like the covers are cool. I don't
They
know.
are very cool though. Like I've seen you hold some of them up, and I'm like,
They
those
are
covers are
yeah, they're
awesome.
very cool covers. So I think, when I have an actual house, I will probably have a whole Walking Dead room and then I'll
Yeah.
probably frame them and like use them as wall hangings because that's the other thing is like
Nice.
there's so many cool covers that I don't want to keep them all in long boxes. Like I want to display them all somehow. So
Yes. Yeah.
at
That's like
some
the same with
point,
like some of my variants. Although
yeah,
I don't have that many variants, but I have some, and yeah, I want to be able to display them and have them framed or do something with them. I don't want them being shunned into a long
yeah,
box.
yeah.
Like,
I know that's what
so
trades are
sad.
for.
Yeah, that's right. No, I agree. I agree. It's too sad to have them all locked up like that.
I know. I'm like, oh, like yeah, because I have some really cool covers and stuff, and then some signed stuff. Like I have apparently Gail's Deadpool run, like the single issues are real rare, and I have a bunch that she signed. So I'm like, I want to display those
Wow.
somehow. So
Awesome. That's so cool.
that was the
That's
first time I met her was WonderCon, and then she signed those. She signed like everything for me. She's so cool. Like
You and Gail are like this. Like
we're
you and Gail
BFFs.
are really, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm super, like, I can't even say I'm super jealous of it because I was gonna say that. I'm like, it's not really. I'm like, it's just I know someone that knows Gail Simone. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I know.
It's
Well, I
pretty
mean,
cool.
like my Gale collection is ridiculous. Like, I mean, that's kind
Yeah,
of like 98% of my bookshelf is Gail Simone, but
nothing
it's
wrong with
just
that.
no. And now, like I'm branching out. Like it was because of you and her that I read Scott Snyder's Batman, and now I love Scott Snyder. So
Nice. Yeah,
I
nice.
probably I think Gale and then Kirkman probably tie for my two favorite writers because I think they rival how much I not only love them, but Gale actually interacts with me, so I think she gets the edge on.
Yeah.
But my Walking Dead collection, I think, rivals my Gail Simone collection as well.
Yeah, your Gail Simone collection. I've seen was it photos? No, it was your YouTube. You did like a
Oh, when I
comic
did my
book
four
shelf.
comic, yeah,
And I'm like, oh my God, you've got so much Gail Simone. I was in
I think
heaven.
I have almost everything she's ever done. The only thing I don't have is, and I need these because, well, I love Rob Liefeld. I'm one of like the few people who do, but she and Rob Liefeld did a Teen Titans, I think, run, and it's only 2 issues, but I need to get those. And then she did another thing called Rose and Thorn, I think, and I need those. And I think those are the only things of hers I don't have, but like Welcome to Tranquility is just, it's one of those things where I just did an Amazon search for Gale stuff that I didn't have already, and I saw the covers and I was like, this looks awesome, and then I read them and I was like, this is awesome.
I've just
So
I just picked up the first 2 issues of Welcome to Tranquility, and I'm really looking forward to reading that. Like, it looks like a
yeah,
really good series.
it's so good. I don't know. I love the idea of like retired superheroes and like that they've settled down
Yeah,
and then there's like a murder and then they kind of have to go back into their old
yeah,
stuff. And it's real cool because it's like they were not only old superheroes but they were also in comics. So then
mm,
like at least in the trades you get like pieces of their old comic books, which is so cool.
oh,
It's such a
nice.
cool concept. It's one of the, I think it's one of the
Yeah.
most creative comics I've ever read, where I'm just like, this is like such a cool idea.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
think actually maybe I should just try and hunt down the trade for that because I bought the first two digitally if I can get the word out, and I think if I always struggle with it
I
digitally,
know.
um, but I think but I think if it's something I can find the trade in, I think that'd be like a really good series to read in trade format. So
Yeah. I know. I got mine off
yeah.
Amazon, so if Amazon is cheap for you, you might want to try
I might
that.
have to have a look. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazon is cheap until you get to the postage, but if I buy
Yeah.
enough, I can make it worth my while.
That's
So,
true. Yeah. Just do a Gale
yeah.
Simone search and then just get all the Gale stuff. That's what I that's what I
Oh
ended up
my
with.
God. My credit card can't cope with that kind of abuse right now.
Yeah.
um,
So,
yeah, I'm just seeing if we got any more comments. Let's
well,
have a look.
let's
There we go. Oh, we did. This is where like all the cool kids are hanging out, is the comment section of our hangout. So
I know.
Kayla said that she just reads digital comics on her laptop. I think that that's oh, here we go. I think that's just the easy way to do it. I agree. I think that that's like I enjoy
On
doing
the
that too. Mm.
laptop, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
Um, Kayla also said that she tried tweeting us, but she's unfamiliar with Twitter, so she didn't know if they showed up or not. But I don't think they did. Let me just have a look because I checked the
Yeah.
hashtag a little bit ago and I didn't see any more. So I don't think they did, but that's okay. We got the message.
Yeah.
Um, Prince Robot 4 said they should cast Justin Bieber as Damian Wayne. Oh my God, this guy kills me. If a live action film was made, random. Um, don't even go there.
We will
And
all boycott DC at that. Remember when like I think it was a fake article or something, but it went around that he was going to be in they were like in
I I remember hearing that. I
yeah.
remember hearing that like Justin Bieber, and they mentioned or Zac Efron, wasn't it? I don't
Oh,
know. They
I think
mentioned
so. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
goodness.
not cool.
So mad. And
Yeah,
here's
everyone.
the sad thing. I didn't even question whether that was real or not because I'm like, at this point, I could see them doing that.
I quit. Yeah, I'm. That's it. You
That's
don't know. You
no,
don't
that's
know.
embarrassing.
Punisher88 said Robert Kirkman is the bomb, and as much as I like The Walking Dead, I really love his Outcast series. So do we.
Yeah,
We both love that.
yeah. I've also heard he has another series out, and I forget what it's called, but my friend reads it. Um,
Oops. Hang on,
I
I've
don't
been
remember what it's
playing
called,
this.
but he said it's real good.
Which one is this? Sorry, hang on. I had the like I had the episode, the live stream playing in my ear instead of you. I'm like, ah! I don't think it stop.
We're talking, but we're also talking in my head. What's going on?
I know what's going on.
I think Kirkman has another series. I think it's called like Invincible or something.
Mm.
And I've heard this. Maybe it's called Inhumans. I don't remember, but I've heard it's really good as well. So.
Mm. I'll have to have a look because the two that I've read so far have been pretty good. So
Yeah. But he said that the last trade was not his favorite, and he's like, I think he's just spreading himself real thin right now, which makes sense because I mean he has now 3 TV
working
shows.
hard.
Huh?
Yeah, he's working hard.
Yeah, that's for sure. So
3 TV shows and then 3 comics.
yeah, and I mean as they're on, or all the actors for Walking Dead are on vacation right now, but I think production starts up again real soon. So.
Mm.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think, because everybody's been talking about Negan coming into the show, and I don't see that happening until next season. I definitely don't think that he will be, he might be mentioned in this season, like at the end of it, but I don't think he will actually come in until maybe the first half, if not even the back half of season 6. So we will see, but I'm...
We'll have to keep our eyes peeled.
Yeah. Well, now that like now I'm all caught up in the comics, I'm like super excited to see, exactly like what happens and what goes on. So.
You'll have an interesting perspective on it too, because I know that even just in the earlier series of Walking Dead, like people that had read the trades were like, some of them were getting a little bit all up in arms and were like, no, that's not what happens. And then I think as the series kind of developed, people sort of started to get that the TV show is always going to be a little bit different.
Yeah.
People started to loosen up a little bit,
Yeah.
But,
there's still some people that hate it, but I think if you take it as like it's an alternate universe of the comics, then I think you can watch it and like it. Because I mean, Daryl and Merle aren't in the comics at all. The CDC wasn't in the comics at all. Herschel's farm went down a little bit differently, as did the governor was real different in the comics, way more sadistic. The governor in the show is way more charming, and I prefer him over the governor in the comics, but I like how sadistic the governor was, and his interaction with Michonne is, I mean, that was probably the only moment in comics. I think Walking Dead has been like, there's been a few moments where I've literally been shocked to the point of like where I had to put the book down, because they went there. I was not expecting they went there.
That was like the first 5 minutes of the start of this season on the TV show.
Yeah.
And I was like, they're not going to show it. They showed it.
I was like, wow.
That was intense. That was
happened, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, and then it's so funny because it was the Penguin. The Penguin that's on Gotham. I'm like, wait, Penguin's here.
I love him. I love him. I think he's so cool. I think he's coming to Australia soon.
Is he?
As part of one of our cons. I think so. And I'm like, I've never actually lined up for an autograph from someone at a con before, because usually I just go buy comics and meet some of the artists and stuff that don't have lines, and then I kind of just get out of there. But I actually feel like I would line up to see him because it's a Penguin. He's so cool. He's so cool. I just I think that'd be really, really awesome to meet him. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how big that line is.
Yeah, I don't know. I assume because the show's kind of, I think people are liking it more now.
Yeah.
Especially now that they're teasing the Joker and stuff. But I don't know. I'm not caught up on it at all. As with everything else.
I know, yeah. I was behind in that for the most part, and then only last week I caught up. I had a big binge session and just finally caught up from I think it was episode 8 or 9, right through to 15. So
Oh.
that was, yeah, it was a big day, but but it was good. Like it's starting to turn a corner, and the things where the things that they weren't necessarily doing great, they've they seem to have corrected themselves and put themselves back on the right path. And so, yeah, it's a good show. It's a really good show. So,
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of fans out there who don't agree and think that it's whatever, but you're always going to get that. You
Yeah.
always will. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially people that care so much about the content. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I like it. I think it's been really
Yeah.
good. So,
Well, I like that they're focusing more on the villains than
yeah,
Batman,
yeah,
and I think that I've been saying that for years, that that's what DC, like, I mean, I think that is another one of my problems with the movies and stuff, is that they refuse to branch out and do like I would love to see an Arkham Asylum movie. I think that would be real cool.
yes,
And then you could
yeah,
introduce like Harley as, the psychiatrist, Dr. Quinzel or whatever her name
yeah.
was. Um,
Harleen Quinzel.
yeah, so then like like there's so many things that they could do, and I think the only they're trying to do that with Suicide Squad, but I don't know if necessarily that's the right movie to do it with,
Mm, mm.
because
Yeah, I agree.
well, and if you think about this, it's like, I mean, if a kid wants to go see a movie and suicide is in the name, like
Yeah, it doesn't look.
I was thinking about that earlier. I was like, I don't know how many parents are actually going to let their kids go see something that has suicide in the name. Whereas
Yeah,
like,
that's
if
a
they
really good
did
point.
Secret Six, that's a little bit different, and that's more. But I don't know. That's my other thing, is are they just not really trying to make it kid friendly, whereas Marvel definitely is, and
Mm.
that's another difference I think between the two of them, is DC is going way darker, which then it doesn't coincide
Yeah,
with
they
their
are.
comics anymore. It's like they want the comics to be more lighter, like in the case of Black Canary, Batgirl, Wonder Woman, all those things. But then they're keeping their movies super dark. So it just, I don't know, they just don't really add up together for me.
It's like they haven't really thought it through, isn't it? Like
No.
they've
Yeah.
yeah, there's a real disconnect between their movies and their comics at the minute, or at
Yeah.
least in the direction that they're heading in. Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah.
It's and especially if they do have all these movies mapped out until the end of time, it's kind of like, well, you've planned them to be dark and you've planned them to look a certain way, but now you're just revamping all your comics to have this light, airy feel about them. So where's the substance? Like, where's
Yeah.
how are they matching up? They're not. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It'll be very interesting, I think, to see with the future ones how they're going to start, marrying them up. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Maybe.
I'm not sold. I'm not sold.
I know, I'm not either. I think the only thing I'm looking forward to is that Aquaman movie, because
Yes, I am looking forward to that. And maybe a little bit of Shazam and Black Adam
as long as
because
it's
of The
not The
Rock.
Rock.
No,
You
we
like
can't disagree
The
on this. I The Rock is my husband. Like, oh, we're gonna find our big thing to disagree on, and it's The Rock.
Rock?
Oh, you just broke my heart.
I'm sorry. It's not that I don't like him. It's just that
But
I saw Witch Mountain, and I think that ruined everything
oh,
for
oh,
me.
come on. Oh, come on. There's plenty of other movies that he's been in that have been quality. But I mean, let's
I
face it.
think.
I'm an old school pro wrestling fan, so for me,
Yeah.
I'm like I
I
go back to he was like my crush at 14 years old. I'm
I
30.
love
It's been a
it.
long time.
I
So,
I love that you are like so into pro wrestling. My friend John, you might have seen me like tweet his stuff, but he has this company called Rasselroos, and he
oh,
makes
okay.
like pro wrestling underwear that has like all like the old sayings on it, and they're going to like
Ah, I
cons and
saw
stuff.
that.
I'll link you to his stuff because you can check it out.
Yes.
He's like a diehard WWE fan, and yeah, I think he will be super. He's so excited that CM Punk is writing that new Thor. Like,
Mhm.
as am I. I love CM Punk. Like, I think
Yeah, he's
I
cool.
love that he loves The Walking Dead and that he thoroughly enjoys comics. So I
Yeah,
think
he
I
does.
remember when that was a big controversy thing, and people were like really pissed off because he was writing comics, and I kept being like, guys, he reads comics. Like it's not like he
Yeah,
was just like
he
I
always has.
want him to be a comic book writer. Like that's not
Yeah.
gonna happen.
No, he's always been a fan, and that's the thing is like a lot of the pro wrestlers are actually like giant nerds behind the
Yeah,
whole thing, like, and love comics, and that's a thing, like, because it's just that alternative lifestyle of and it's kind of that combination of jock and comic fan, I guess, but a
yeah,
lot of them really do love comics and like are genuinely passionate about it, so it doesn't surprise me that he's
yeah,
writing them. It doesn't surprise me at all. But I like CM Punk. He's cool.
yeah.
Um,
Me
but
too.
yeah, The Rock has my heart. Black Black Adam. Oh my God. Yeah.
Wait, so is he gonna be Black Adam or is he gonna be Shazam?
He's gonna be Black Adam. He's gonna be a villain. So
That are I don't know. It'll be interesting. I don't know. Some of his movie choices, it's kind of like Nicolas
yeah,
Cage. Like I really want to like Nicolas Cage, but then at the end of the day,
I
it's
don't
like
like Nicolas Cage. I can't.
I know. Yeah,
I
I'm
get
like,
it.
why did you do Bangkok Dangerous? I don't understand.
I love that. The thing about like Black Adam, like they actually offered The Rock either role. He got to pick whether he wanted Shazam or Black Adam. Like they said,
Oh,
what one do you want? And he went with Black Adam, and I think it was the right thing to do because you know I think the cool thing about Black Adam is like, and The Rock said this in interviews, is that eventually we'll see him being integrated into the DC universe more. So there might even be Black Adam versus Batman or Superman. And to me, like my ovaries could not take that kind of talk. And I was just like, what? Black Adam versus Batman? Like,
yeah.
yeah. Oh my god. It's too much sex in one scene. So good. So
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I do think that like a lot of the WWE guys because they just turn out to be really good action movie heroes, like
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
like I love the Expendables,
Yes.
um,
Me too.
and like I really like I think isn't Steve Austin in that? I think he was.
Yeah, yeah, he
Yeah,
was.
like
Yeah.
I really like Steve Austin, and I really like those
Yeah, I
guys.
like him.
I think because those guys have been in a lot of the action movies I've seen, it's a little bit different than The Rock. The Rock has he's worn a tutu and been in a
I
t-shirt.
know.
And I'm
I
like,
know.
I just question some of his choices a little bit, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, and then here's like the real kicker to that: the guy who took over for Tooth Fairy 2 was Larry the Cable Guy. So
Oh
that's
yeah,
kind of
okay.
like that's just I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's a fair call. And look, to be honest, I'm sure The Rock probably questions some of The Rock's choices as well
Probably,
in
yeah.
life because he
Yeah.
hasn't always made the best movie choices, but
Yeah. I'm trying to
when
think
they're
of
good, they're really good.
that I've seen him in the like I've loved though, and I want to say I've seen something.
He was in like wasn't Be Cool or Be Shorty. He was in um now I've gone blank. The one with Sean William Scott, The Walking. No, I keep wanting to say The Walking Dead, but it's not. The something about jungle. Walking Tall. Walking Tall. He was in. He
Oh,
was
I have
in.
not seen it.
That was a good movie. He was in. And now I've gone blank. I've seen a whole bunch of stuff with The Rock in it. What am I talking about?
I feel like I've seen something and I actually did like him in it, but I don't remember what that was.
Um, Let me have a look.
Yeah, I know. I was just gonna say I'm gonna
It's
look it up
gone.
because I
Yeah. He's been in a lot of stuff though. Like his career is like he's really kind of taken like gone and left the wrestling ring for good, and really tried to make a move on a career, which is exciting for him. Um,
yeah.
okay, here we go. So he was in Pain and Gain, which was a good movie. I enjoyed that. That had Mark Wahlberg in it. He's been in all the Fast and Furious movies, just about.
Maybe that's what I was.
The Scorpion King, which was not good. Um, He was in what
Oh, I think it was
else?
G.I. Joe I saw him in.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was in Hercules. He bulked up for that too. He was big. Um, what else have I seen? The Game Plan. That's where he was in a tutu, right? I know the Tooth Fairy. The Game Plan was all right. I know it's a Disney movie, but it was okay.
Maybe
Um,
I think maybe I saw that one.
yeah, I thought it was cute. Empire State, I started to watch but couldn't. The Other Guys, which had Will Ferrell, that was good. I enjoyed that. Gridiron Gang was good.
Gridiron
Mm,
Gang, I did like that, yeah.
yeah, that was good. That had a lot of wrestlers in it,
Oh, he
actually.
was in The Other Guys. I love that movie
Yeah,
because
The Other Guys was good.
works at
So,
Best Buy and Beyond, and then he keeps quoting Destiny's Child. He goes, "I don't want the scrubs."
yeah, that's good. That was a good movie. I haven't seen that in a while. Maybe I need to rewatch that.
I know, me too. I keep
Yeah,
saying that I need to do a Michael Keaton because I own literally almost every single movie that he's ever been in,
yeah,
um, and like I need to do like a rewatch because like I love Speechless. Like that is one of my absolute favorite movies with him and Gina Davis. Like it's so
I haven't
good.
seen it.
Oh my gosh. And then Live from Baghdad with him and Helena Bonham Carter because I also love her. Um, yeah.
So you
I'm
would
gonna,
like Tim Burton movies? Because I
huh?
like Tim Burton. Do you like Tim Burton movies then? With Helena
I
Bonham Carter's in like a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, I own. So this is how I am. Like when it comes to my movies, I get
Yeah.
obsessed with an actor, and then I have to own every single. Like I go through the IMDb list and I order every single movie that they've ever been in, whether it's good or not. I don't care. I have to have.
Wow.
So I have all of Helena's movies. I have all of Tim Burton's movies that he's not only
Nice.
directed but produced as well.
Nice.
I own most of Johnny Depp's movies and then all of Michael Keaton's movies. So those are like the four that I've pretty
Yeah.
much completed. But I have like the completed like Tim Burton collection with the exception of his shorts because I don't think he's ever.
He
I
hasn't
have
put them out on.
no, the only one I have is Frankenweenie because I have the really rare Nightmare Before Christmas DVD and it has that short on it and it's so good because it's in black and white with a real dog. It's so cute.
Nice.
Um,
Cute. I went to a
so
Tim
yeah,
Burton exhibition in Melbourne a few years back, and they played some of the shorts. But yeah, you can't get them. They're not like
yeah.
readily available or anything like that.
No,
So
it's not like Pixar. He should put them out on DVD though or Blu-ray because I would totally buy those because I mean that's where he
yeah.
started with shorts and with an animation and stuff. Um,
Yes.
But yeah, no. So yeah, so I own. I like he did. He produced Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, which I
Yes.
solely saw because he produced it, and then it is one of my favorite movies. And everyone laughs at me when I say that, and then I go, "Have you seen it?" And they're like, "No," and I go, "Watch it." And then they do, and then they come back to me and they were like, "Okay, like you were right. That's actually a really good movie."
I
Like I
haven't seen it
know.
yet, and I know I should. I know I should. I've had so many people go, "You need to watch this. It's really good." So it's on the list. I've got like, if
Yeah.
you saw the list, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Mine too. Well, I used to work at a music movie store, like I said, and so people would constantly come in and be like, "You have to watch this movie." So I have a good, like there's some movies that like, and being a film student, like that I've never seen, people are just like absolutely shocked. But I'm also very selective. I'm kind of like with comics, with my movies. Like if I
Mm-hmm.
don't like a genre, like I'm not gonna see that movie or something. So.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had to watch Raging Bull for a class and I absolutely hated it. I was like, this is not. I don't like. I'm not a big Jack Nicholson fan. I was telling somebody this. I forget who, but they were like, "Oh, like you work in Hollywood, so like you must meet celebrities all the time and stuff." And I'm like, "No, like I don't think I've seen anybody famous since I've moved here." It's like not something that is super common. But I'm also. I mean, I barely leave my apartment if I don't have to. So.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but so they were like, but like, what if you ran into like Jack Nicholson or something? And I was like, I would literally, like, if he talked to me, I would just be like, hi. Like, I would be so unimpressed because I don't like any of his movies except for him as the Joker and Batman. I think that's the only
Yeah.
movie that I thoroughly like. So it's like I wouldn't care. Now, if I saw Michael Keaton, on the other hand, I would have to
Oh my God.
like hold myself back from just like running up to him and being like, "You're bad." I would be such a weirdo about it.
He would
I,
love that though because he still loves the fact that he's Batman. Like,
I know he's so cool. I wish he'd won the Oscar, but I'm glad that at least Birdman won for best movie. But
yeah, I
which I
need to
still
see
need to see. I fail as a Michael Keaton fan because I still have not seen it.
this.
I just need to.
Craig was
I'm just
talking
gonna buy
about
it.
it. Craig was talking about it on the radio show, like only I want to say like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he went and saw it because it only just got released in Australia. It's like we're ridiculous with movies, and he saw it and he was like 5 out of 5. You need to see this movie, and he doesn't often rate movies that high. So I'm like, damn,
Yeah,
I really need to see it, but I don't even think it's on DVD in Australia yet. Like it's
yeah. I don't.
yeah,
I
it's not
think
good.
it's here. I think it's just been released on like digital, so
Yeah,
I'll probably have to download it and watch it at some point. But yeah,
yes.
like oh, and like I went to a mall here. I don't remember what I was doing. I think I was trying to go to Hot Topic, and they had in one of the movie theater section things, like they had the actual Birdman suit, and I took a picture of it and stuff. And I'm like, I wonder if this was the theater that like the premiere was at. And I think it might have been since they had like all the prop stuff and pictures on the
Oh
wall
my
from it.
God,
So
that's
it was like
awesome.
super cool. And I was
That's
like, oh, I
awesome.
need to see this now. I know.
That's
I've
unlike anything that we would ever get out here.
Yeah,
We
I
would,
know. It's
yeah.
so weird. I don't know. Well, I mean, I've lived in California my entire life, but it's weird, like living in LA and working in Hollywood and just kind of like being like submerged in this. Like it's not. I don't know. Like I guess because I live here now, it's not as like jaw dropping. It's more like it's more annoying because like when the stupid I'm glad I didn't have to work when the Golden Globes were going on because it like
Mm.
was taking place at the Beverly Hilton, which is like I drive by like every day to get to work, and I'm
So
like
it would have been a burden.
like they closed everything down. It was insane. And then I didn't realize like I was driving home from work on Friday, or I was driving home from something, I don't remember. And there was like all these streets closed off and it was like for an event and I'm like, what event is like, in Hollywood? I didn't even realize that the Oscars were happening and I'm pretty sure that was like they were setting everything up for the Oscars. And I'm just like, oh. And I'm like, Walking Dead is
Something's happening.
That's my mind
I
is.
love that.
And The
I love
Walking Dead doesn't even film here. It films in Georgia. So I'm like, there's no
that.
I don't get excited about anything. And it's so funny. Except for
Oh
Norman
my
Reedus.
God.
No, I did get real like ridiculous when the premiere for The Walking Dead was at Universal at the City Walk and my
Yeah.
friend was working she worked in Universal Studios, like their Hollywood Horror Nights, and I was like flipping my shit. Like I was not okay. And my friend does stand-up comedy, and so he was at the Comedy Store, and like I'm outside, like just flipping out, like shaking, and my friend's like, "What is wrong with you?" And I'm like, "You don't even understand. Like Norman Reedus and Melissa McBride are like not even 20 minutes away from me right now." And she is like, "Well, let's see if you can get tickets to the premiere." And I'm like, "Okay." So we look, and it was like $500, and she was like, "Do you
Oh
have
my
$500?"
God.
I'm like, "No." She's like, "Well then, we're gonna go watch John do his set, and then go out to dinner." I'm like, "Okay."
Oh my
I was
God.
like,
That's a
"No."
lot of money.
Oh yeah, I mean, to do anything here, to go to a premiere or something, like it's ridiculous. Like, I think to
Mm.
go to the Grammys, it was like $1,000 or something. Like and that's, I mean, I would never.
What?
Yeah,
Wouldn't
I
even
mean,
want to go to the Grammys. Like, I feel like
no.
it's so boring.
So I worked at a post-production company here. That's actually like why I moved to LA is because I got an internship in Santa Monica with these people that do. They did that. I don't know if you've seen it, but that Audi commercial with the little kid as Darth Vader and he uses the Force and the car starts.
Oh
Um,
my God. That's so
they did that
cute.
one, and then I actually got to work on the Skeletor Honda Days commercial. So if anyone watching or you have seen that, I did the reference board on that, so I got to
Oh
print out a
my
bunch of pictures
God.
of Skeletor and explain to the animators what Skeletor should be and He-Man and stuff. So that was super fun. So
That's
when that
cool.
actually aired, I was like, I worked on that. Like that was like my
That's
proudest
so
thing
cool.
while working at this company. But so they did a bunch of stuff for the Grammys, like visual effects for like the best artist and stuff like that. And I was helping them work on it. And the producer like handed me the sheet, and she was like, "You know these people, right?" And it's like Iggy Azalea, and I'm like, "This is not Motley Crue or Fleetwood Mac, so no, I have no idea who these people are." And she's like,
Oh
"Oh,
man.
type their names and try not to misspell them." And like literally, like the only one I knew was like Miley Cyrus, and I'm
Oh
like,
man. Okay.
it was so, and then she was like, "Well, do you want to go to the Grammys?" And I'm like, "Dude, I didn't know any of the people. Like, no, I don't want to go to
Nah,
the
I think like it'd be cool to see celebrities, but at the same time, they're not there to meet and greet necessarily. And like you have to sit through the ceremony, and that's like, I mean, I've seen it on television a few times, and it's just boring. Like
Yeah.
it's long, there's a lot going on. Yeah, no, it's stuffy. It's just one of those things. It's just like so. Yeah, it's just a
Yeah.
formality, really.
Exactly. And I mean, unless you're like you've worked on something and like you're nominated for something, like I don't even know why you would want to go. Like I
Nah,
would rather stay home and like yesterday I just like read comics and watched Walking Dead. And everybody was
that's
like,
like my ideal night in.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's like, I don't know, like I'm trying to think. Like I haven't yeah, no, I haven't run into anybody. Oh, I think maybe I saw Ed Harris. And I really like him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I
I
saw
saw
him like walking down the street.
I saw Jamie Lee Curtis when I was at Hollywood in Hollywood Boulevard, like three
Yeah,
years ago. I was like, "Oh, it's Jamie Lee Curtis," and she was like surrounded by security, and she was obviously going to something. And so that was like my run-in. I saw her like 30 meters away at a distance. I'm like, "Oh, it's Jamie Lee Curtis." And
yeah,
that's pretty much the only famous person I saw. Like,
yeah,
but still pretty cool.
yeah,
I'm very
yeah. And like the only people I've ever met, like I met Norman Reedus at Wizard World, but I mean that's like I paid to meet him.
You
But
went, yeah, you went there to see him. That's
yeah,
exactly it. That's the
yeah.
difference.
And
Yeah.
so, like yeah, I think that's the best place though to meet people that you want to meet are at cons and stuff, because like and especially if you meet people that are excited to see their fans and stuff, like it makes a difference. But oh, I met.
Definitely.
I guess that's kind of been
Who did you meet?
Melindy Britt, who voiced She-Ra and Batgirl in like this
Ah,
animated
no.
Batman. Yeah, I met her because she had a meeting with my boss, and she like my boss told her like I'm a big He-Man fan, so she gave me like the signed print and like signed it to me, and it said for the honor of Grayskull, and I was like, oh my gosh, like she's so
That
sweet.
is awesome. That's
Like yeah, she
awesome.
was. But this is like how that meeting went. We talked about She-Ra for maybe a minute, and then I discovered that she rides horses and loves animals. So that was our entire conversation was about animals. Like
That's
that's how
cool.
I am when I meet famous people. Like it's never about their work. It's always about like animals or something ridiculous. Like what's your favorite hamburger? Like I
So
asked
how
her,
refreshing
I
is
was
that
like,
for them?
yeah, well, and I asked him Maria's because, like, I know he's a big Fleetwood Mac fan, so I was like, you like Fleetwood Mac? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, what's your favorite song? And he was like, Dreams, and I was like, High Five. And then, like, I left. Like, that was
Oh, that's
how
nice.
but, like, he was, like, super cool about it. So I'm just like, I don't know. I don't get real flipped out about meeting famous people. Just, I guess, because I also want to work in this industry, so it's like,
Yeah.
you just have a really cool job and you get paid a lot of money for it. That's
Yeah,
the
they're just
only
people.
difference between us. Like
Exactly. They're people, and that's what you're going to remember when
yeah,
you meet them is like,
yeah,
they're probably just as sick of talking about the same stuff as, like, they hear it all the time. So being
yeah,
original or saying something
yeah.
that's a little bit different is probably really refreshing to them.
Yeah, like I think I would be the
Yeah.
greatest interviewer. I would be like Craig Ferguson because like none of my questions would have anything to do with like their project. I would be like, so what is your favorite flavor, like your favorite flavor of ice cream? Like, having
Yeah,
nothing to
that's
do
good though.
with anything. But yeah, that's how I would be. Like, cause yeah, I mean they just get really really burned out. Like I'm sure that Melissa and Norman are so tired of being asked, when are Daryl and Carol gonna hook up? Like, 'cause they get
And
asked
even
that.
though you want to know about it, you would probably refrain, right?
Yeah. Well, and like even though like even Jimmy Fallon, because Norman Reedus was on Jimmy Fallon a few nights ago, and even he asked, and Norman's like everybody wants Daryl to like hook up with Carol and Rick, and Michonne and Glenn and Jimmy Fallon was like, whoa, like
It escalated.
and I'm like, yeah, because it seems to be true. Everybody on that show just kind of wants them to pair off, and
Yeah, but I mean, like when you don't have that many people left in the world, you kind of have to procreate somehow. So
that's yeah. I mean, and I would personally love to see Daryl having to deal with a child. I think that'd be hilarious.
oh my God, Daryl Dixon holding a baby. Like I think when he was holding what's the kid's name? The baby's name?
Oh, little ass kicker, Judith.
Yeah, that's a little ass kicker. When he was holding her, like every woman out there was just like, oh my God, Daryl Dixon holding a baby.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I want them to like, or I want him to like get a puppy at some point and just like have this dog that follows him around. I think that would be hilarious. It just follows me home. I don't know what to do with it.
I love it. I love it. All right, so should we wrap things
I think
up?
so, because we've been doing this for like...
We're going for like 3 hours.
Not for like 3 hours, yeah.
Yeah, but impressive.
Yes.
This won't be the last chat that we do. Obviously, we aim to be doing this. I don't want to say like regularly because we can't like commit to this every single week, but
yeah.
But definitely we will be scheduling these in on a regular type basis. So yeah.
Maybe
And
like 2 or 3 times a month or something.
Yeah, I think that's very achievable. And we'll just like negotiate between our weekends and what we've got on and when we can do this. So yeah, so I think it's been really good. I've loved this. I could seriously chat to you for hours more.
I know, me too.
If it wasn't going on dinner time here and it wasn't just past 10 o'clock over there, I'd be like, let's continue chatting. So we'll leave it here for today. You do your awkward sign-offs really well, but I'll let you close. But we will be doing a podcast shortly, as I mentioned earlier, and in the interim, we'll be doing Post Party at Spargo's radio show, which you can find at postpartyatspargos.com, and yeah, podcasts, radio shows, all that kind of thing. You'll see the updates on the website. This show has been broadcast on that website as well. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it as far as shout outs. You can find Stacy at Stacy Scholes on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at Holy Batgirl. And you can find our combined Twitter account for this channel at the Batgirls Show. Batgirls with an S. There's 2 of us. And I think that's about it. Did I just mention everything?
I think that's it. Subscribe to this channel for more of these hangouts and stuff. Subscribe to Mel's channel, which is Holy Batgirl, and my YouTube channel, which is not my name, but it is Stacy Poole S. You can also, if you go to my Twitter, it's linked there. Yeah. I think that's it. So I think it is awkward sign-off time. So until our next video, we will see you later. Bye, guys.
See ya.
That was fun. Oh wait, it's still going. This really is an awkward sign-off. This is like the epitome of awkward sign-off time. I'm glad this happened because this never happens on my videos. Okay, ready? I'm actually gonna try and sign off correctly. So awkward sign-off time. Second try. Bye, guys.